Oh, morning everyone. Hope everyone's good. Hope you had a good night. Oh, still bloody tired. Well, we've definitely screwed that one up, haven't we? I mean, we took 2 weeks, 3 weeks to try and sort out that Morgan deal. Fell to pieces. We then take 2-3 weeks to try and sort out the Eze deal, where we basically had it on a plate. Could have got things sorted. Same Spurs, different day, innit? I mean, Levy, what are you doing? He could have had this job done a long time ago. Now, I've always been one that said on the business side, what he's done at Spurs, i.e. stadium, whatever, and that, he got it right. But anything that ever comes to football, business with football, buying players, the man can't just get his act together. He just don't do it. I think the question here for quite a few of us is, where do we go now? What are we going to do now? Who do we go for now? We've got about, 11, 12 days left now until the end of the transfer window. Anyone we do go for, every other team out there knows we are now desperate. Anything that would have cost us 30, 35, 50 million, whatever, you know they're going to put an extra 10 million on the price. Because everybody knows now we are that desperate. I mean, for me, I've said for a while, we need a number 10 more than we need anything. We need a playmaker in that team. Yes, I know we need another striker, wouldn't hurt. We need a left winger as well and everything else. But for me personally, that number 10 is what we needed so much. Eze, at the end of the day, we knew he was an Arsenal supporter. But if this would have got sorted out a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier, like it could have, it would have been done and dusted and we would have got him. This one for me is down to Levy not getting his job done again. So I think the question is, most of us are going to ask, where do we go now? I mean, there's still players I say we have a look at. I mean, me personally, at Atalanta, I like Di Ketelaere, if that's how you pronounce his bloody name. We're meant to be looking at Morgan Rogers at Villa. That's who we're meant to have turned our eyes to. Do I see that one happening? Nope. I mean, I didn't see us getting Savinho, but I thought one of them would happen. I thought we'd at least get Eze or Savinho. I thought Eze was pretty much ours. And I admit I was one of the ones who got it totally wrong in thinking the deal is pretty much done. Honestly, I don't really know where else to go with it. You start looking at the season now and it's starting to look a bit worrying. We've not got a team there that can handle league, cups, and definitely Champions League. I mean, the other one we want, what's his name? Xavi Simons. Chelsea still meant to be interested in him. And if it comes down to his choice, you know he's going Chelsea over us all day long. So really, I'm in a bit of a situation now of where do we go? What do I say? What bit do we go into? Are we just going to leave it until literally last couple of days of the season and get someone being desperate? Or do we just leave it, stick what we've got, and see if we can get anything decent in January? I honestly don't know where we go now, I must admit. Oh, if anyone knows where else we're going to go, please do tell me. So I thought I'd just do an early morning show. I had to get up early, and sort a couple of things. And I just want to see what a couple of people on the side think, basically. Only going to be an hour, and this time I'm going to try and stick to that because I've got a few other things to do today. And where are we going to go now, people? Please do tell me. On here, people, please do tell me where we're going to go. Because honestly, I think that one has done us good and proper. So I'm going to say hello to a couple of people. So Smith, always see you. Good to see you. How you doing? Taking a break, Dan. See how I feel after I've recharged the old batteries. Right now, I'm done. Love you and left. Beth, keep it real always. Same to you. Look, do you know what? Taking a bit of time away from it and just literally turning off the football with Spurs, I don't think it'll do anyone no harm at the moment. the thing that really does you on this one is, like most people, I think most of us thought we had this deal done. And the fact that it only took Arsenal basically the day to come in and get the job sorted. Obviously, I think they'd spoke to Eze before. There was a bit of contact before, but I don't think Arsenal were going to go for Eze for the sheer fact I don't think they needed him that desperately. Now, with what happened to Havertz, they've sat there and thought, do you know what? We can still get him. We're going to go and get him. And they've gone and got the job done. Simple as that. That's how I personally believe it happened. They go and get the job done within the day, basically. With us, why do we always take 2-3 weeks, even a month at times, to get things sorted? It was obvious what Palace wanted. The deal was already done with Eze, as far as I know, from what I keep reading everywhere. But no, we have to try and save ourselves. Levy has to try and save £1 million. He has to try and be that businessman on that side. I mean, I think most people can accept now, football isn't just a sport anymore, it's business. There's two sides of it. But again, if you want to do it right, you've got to get both sides right, like most other clubs do. We get the business side right, that's all fine and everything. But when it comes to the football side of it, the business football side of it, whatever way you want to put it, we just can't seem to get it right. Levy just don't seem to do the job properly. I mean, where we go from here, Sue, I just really don't know. And Lucky Singh, morning, mate. And yeah, Holland, you're going fully. We want 35 million. If you loan 70 million, 7 million, mate, he's not a player I'm interested in, to tell the truth. I don't think he's the player we need. We need to go and get ourselves a number 10. Without that playmaker, I just don't see where we're going to get anything from it. Who's going to create from us? Then this is where it's going to come down to Thomas Frank, basically, to try and get the most out of the team he's got. That's his job. To get the best formation for the team, to get the team playing the best way. I mean, who have we got who's really creative in that team? I suppose you could say Kudus has got a bit to it. I could say Porro's got a bit to it with a long ball in there. And maybe you've got a little bit of a deep line playmaker in Bentancur. Kulusevski gets fit. Yes, you can cover him as a 10, but is he going to do anything that Eze could do for us? Not a chance in hell. Is he going to do anything that Maddison can do for us as a playmaker? No chance. Yeah, we're in trouble. And Tony, good morning, Dan, guests and chat. Morning to you, mate. Hope you have had a good night. And Brian, Levy and Enoch out. Totally with you. I mean, the interesting one is with this one is, what effects is this going to have on the protests? I mean, I'll come to that in a minute. And so Elvis also saying Levy out. It's also morning to you. And Chris, what you're saying here? Morning, Dan. Levy better go and splash 80 million on both Savinho and Morgan Gibbs-Rogers. Well, that's going to cost that. If we want Savinho, by the look of it, that's 70, 80 million straight up. That's if it's City even going to let him go now. And I don't see Villa wanting to get rid of Rodgers anytime soon either. And this is why I didn't see us getting Eze and Savinho. We ain't going to pay another 120, 140 million, whatever they both add up to. This is why I see it as Spurs as one or the other. And in this aspect, do I see either of them two happening? I can't say I do. We're in serious trouble. Oh, it is frustrating to say the least. Just, it's always the same thing with Spurs. So near, yet so far. We think we're getting somewhere. We think, right, it looks interesting. It looks like this season could be good. We've got a decent coach. We bring in a player, a good player, in Kudus. Then, yeah, okay, it goes wrong with Morgan Gibbs-White. I suppose we're the only ones who can actually get the deal sorted, pay everything up, and then it falls to pieces. A very Spurs thing. And then with this one, it looks like we've got Eze sorted. on the cards, and it just falls to pieces in a matter of a day. That is where we are never going to lose that name Spursy, are we? And I think we've got the other saying with it as well now. It's who we are, mate. It's what we do. And Elvis, what are you saying here, mate? We just give Arsenal the league. Shambles from Levy and Lance, Lange and V-Knight. Yeah. I don't know if we've just given them the league, but we've just given them a really good chance of getting there now. I agree. I mean, for me, it's still Liverpool and City that are first or second place. I think are going to do the league, but we're getting Eze as well, and some of the players Arsenal have brought in. Like it or not, they're up there. They're up there for the fight again. They're up there for the fight for the title. Where are we? With the team we have at the moment, I think we're going to be lucky if we see 8th place. Unless we do something serious in the next 10 days, basically. And I just don't think many people see that happening, because I don't see it happening. Is that now just being negative, or is that just being realistic? I mean, for me, that's just being realistic, especially after what I've seen with what's just happened with Eze. Or we just go and get 1 or 2 players just out of that we're desperate to go and get them, so we get them. I think frustrating is an understatement with this club. And culture, morning, mate. How you doing? We have to stop saying we are a big club in the Prem. We can't even take players from Forest or Palace, top 6. Mate. Do you know what, mate? Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, club size-wise, money-wise, value of what we're worth, we're in the top 8 in the world. We're meant to be one of the top 6 teams in the Premier League. But like you say, we can't even get deals done now against Forest or Palace. And this is where we are in severe trouble. One moment, just had a message. There we go. Links there for you. It's where we're going to take this. I honestly don't know. I know I just keep repeating what I'm saying, but I really don't know where else to go on this. And we are Spurs TV. People wanted to give Levy credit for this window. Yep. Imagine waiting to give the owners credit for 25 shit. Yep. The only thing I ever give credit for is the business side out of football. On the football side, he's got to go. We have got to get someone in there who can do this job properly when it comes to the football side, the business side of the football. And we are Spurs TV, morning fella. People mock the protest until those fans get beat. Yep, I agree with you. The thing I always questioned on the protests was when they happened was how many there actually was for Levy out and how many was there for just the pure situation that we was in that wanted Ange out and was stressing out because of the position we was in. That's the question I've always asked with it. I think this one, where it's going to go with the protests, we will see. But I think this one is definitely going to have a big effect on it. And anyway, Kiwi Spurs morning. How you doing? What are you saying here, Ryan? This is the Diaz and Liverpool deal all over again. Yep. How many times has this happened now? This is the point I keep saying. I know there's more to things than just putting the money down, whatever else. I know deals go bigger than that. But we was at a point now where, as far as I'm concerned, put the money on the table and the job was done. Eze had agreed. Palace had made it clear what they want. And no, that's just Levy again trying to save us 5 mil here, 5 mil there. Instead of paying you 10 million a year, whatever, or 20 million a year, we'll pay you 18 million or whatever. And Arsenal have just come in and said, right, that's what Spurs offered you. We're going to offer you this. And there we go. And Palace have sat in. And that's that. 1 minute. There we go. Send you the link. And where do we take it from here? I mean, really, a true football businessman who knows his football side of it would have seen what Arsenal just done and gone, right, okay, take it the deal you want and stick another 5 million on it. Palace would have gone for the one that offers the best money. Yeah, we know Eze, he was an Arsenal supporter, whatever else, but it was down to Palace in the end on where it goes. They would have gone for whoever offers them the best deal and the most money. The fact that we didn't even try and counter what Arsenal went and did just about shows everything. And like you said, Ryan, it's happened with team after player after player before. I mean, like you say, with Diaz, like say what happened years ago with Willian, and I know there's a big, massive list you can go through that I've got on here somewhere. It's just same Spurs, different day, isn't it? Nothing's going to change anytime soon by the look of it. Frustrating. And Kiwi, what you're saying here, you told the truth and got to have a good last night. Lay the money down by any means of manner. No, it's not even to do with that. Certain situations, like I said, it's a lot deeper to it. There is a lot more to it, but sometimes just put the bloody money on the table and the job will get done. We knew, Levy knew what Palace wanted. So do it. This could have been done a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but no, this one is down to Daniel Levy. He has bluntly fucked up in a big, big way. And this could cost us how our season goes as a whole. Because we are now in a desperate means. And Ryan, what you're saying, we do all the legwork and get shafted. These owners are clowns completely. When it comes to the football side, you just do wonder sometimes, do they even give a shit? It's as mate, it is frustrating. And culture, this goes to show we aren't a big club in the Premier League era. We can't even take a player from Forest or Palace. The big six, my arse. It's a shame. It's a shame we get put up there. It's true. Size of the club and everything, we might be top six, but the fact that we can't even go in and get deals sorted with a Palace player or a Forest player just about says it all. Yet you get the others go out there, they get the job done. At the end of the day, fair play Arsenal, credit where it's due. They went out there, they saw what they wanted, they knew, right, we put the bid in, we got to get the job done. There's the money up front, job sorted, baked potato Spurs, see you later, mate. Game over. And we let that happen. I suppose we've only got ourselves to blame for that at the end of the day. We let it happen. So, and Tony, literally embarrassed to be a Spurs fan. Totally agree with you, mate. Ashamed. There isn't much to like when you think about it. The owners will all see you next Tuesdays. Indeed, they are. See them on Thursday, whatever. They are. The club is literally cursed and the fan base is weak and pathetic. One thing I will say with this fan base as a whole, yes, everyone has different opinions. You can put facts down to it. We've all got different opinions. We're all entitled to it at the end of the day. Some make more sense than others, wherever we go. But the other thing is, this fan base, it is so easy to satisfy at times. It really is. There's been many a time. I mean, look, we won the Europa Cup. Brilliant. No two ways about it. Excellent. We've done it. But then the majority of the fan base then was quiet on what happened in the season. Some say cups count more. Some say finishing in the league counts more. Well, it's a bit of both. I do feel sorry for Thomas Frank on what he's got coming. At least with Ange, he had about, what, let's say 4 or 5 players that get into that first team. Thomas Frank has had 1. He's got a big, big job coming this year. And Rob, what you're saying here is clear. Parish would have sent Levy back in just for the insult of low ball offers and trying to play his usual shenanigans. If he was stringing him along, Eze is now the jewel in the crown. I mean, it does make you think, was Arsenal just sitting there in the background and going to do this anyway? You know, let Spurs do all the work, see what they can get a deal with on Eze, see that the deal finally is about to go through, and then just go back. There you go. We'll pay you this a bit early and another 5 million. Done. Okay, again, so like I said, so why did Levy not go and then put in an offer on top of that? We have been done good and proper here. Aiming, morning fella, and good. Get Paratici to get us quality from the Italian league. That is one bit I was going to go to, seeing as you have said that. I've read that on a couple of things. we are meant to be now having a serious chat. So I just read on a couple of things this morning on Spurs News and that we are definitely trying hard to now get Paratici back in there officially. And well, Lange don't seem to get it right. Levy just don't get it right. Paratici seems to at least get a few deals done in. We are in a serious manner now where we need someone in there who's going to get the job done, who's going to get us a couple of players through. Stel, morning. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, just woke up about 10 minutes ago. Good morning, everyone. Cup of tea. You know how we do. How you doing, Dan? You all right? Feeling a bit better after last night's massive meltdown?
Didn't get to sleep till about bloody 3 o'clock. Just when you're just laying there, frustration. You're just thinking like, why the fuck did we not get this sorted out? Even my wife sat there and spoke to me and said to me last night, like, what went wrong? Why didn't just Levy do this? Why didn't he get it sorted? And even my wife can see this, for God's sake, who over the past year has learned a lot more about football and that, but still even she cannot understand how did this not go through. Still, go for it, mate.
Johnson again, ole, ole. Johnson again, ole, ole. Johnson again. Nah, listen. Jokes aside. Dan, this goes back to Bilbao for me, okay? And I know I'm on my own with this, but it's fine. I'm going to run with it.
Go for gold, mate.
When we won the Europa Cup, I never thought we'd do it. When I was in Bilbao, I knew we'd beat Man United. When I was out there, I knew we were going to beat them. I knew the rot would stop. I had that feeling. But I just thought, you know what? We've finally got a manager that can win a trophy under this awful ownership. We might as well stick with him. At least he can work under these ridiculous owners. At least he's proven he can make it work. Just stick with him. All right, he's gone. Frank's in, whatever. But I knew Frank wasn't going to get backed. I knew Frank wasn't going to get what fans thought was going to happen. And for the last kind of 6 weeks, all I've been told and all I've heard is things are changing. We've now got Charrington. Charrington's Joe Lewis's guy. He's going to fix us up. And Vinay, he's the man. And I sat there going, guys, are we blind? I've been here before 1,000 times. You can shuffle the deck as much as you want. You can change the suits as much as you want. You can change whoever you want. Manager, football director, finance officer, PR, football officer, Munn, Lange, Paratici, Hitchin, this board member. It means nothing if Enoch and Levy are still here. And then Levy played a blinder. He absolutely finessed the fan base. We got a taste for silverware, and we thank Ange for that, but we want more. I want the Premier League and the Champions League, and that's it. All the YouTubers lost their minds. The podcasters lost their minds. All the fans got sucked in. I never once got sucked in, Dan. I never, ever once got sucked in. And I went on We Are Tottenham TV. I went on We Are Tottenham TV after we beat Arsenal 1-0 pre-season. And all the fan base were going mad over that. And I went on We Are Tottenham TV and I said to Ben and Sim, live, it's been clipped so people can go and see it if they don't believe me. And I said, guys, I'm not excited because unless this happens consistently, nothing's changed. And I'm not angry because Frank needs time, like every manager at this club. So for me, whatever happens this season, I'm not excited because I don't expect what other fans think is going to happen. But at the same time, I'm not going to get angry because I've been here before 1,000 times. I know what this story looks like. And the big test to see if things are really changing is look at the transfer window. That's always the biggest indicator if things are really changing. And the first 2 players we signed were Ben Davies, again, and Matthias Tell. When I saw that, Dan, I knew how this was going, and I've stayed calm and I've stayed chilled because I knew, okay, I know how this works. But I just had to wait for all the other fans to come on board. And now we've screwed up Gibbs White. Savinho, we've been completely bumped on that because Man City aren't going to deal with us. Not after what Levy's done with the Harry Kane saga, then having an interview with Gary Neville saying, oh, those 115 counts against Man City, it's not right. And what? And you think now City are going to play ball with us? And as for this Eze deal, you drag it out, you wait to the last minute. Of course, we've been gazumped. Nothing has changed. You can change as many managers as you want at this club. You can change the coaching team. You can change the board of directors. As long as Daniel Levy is the chairman and Enoch own the club, Dan, this is how it will always be. We'll probably get another player in. He won't be a rubbish player, but he's not going to be Eze or Gibbs White. It's going to be a bit, and we're going to roll with it. And everyone's going to then say, well, you know, don't worry because Tell is going to come through and Bergvall and Gray are generational and Richarlison's going to be the real deal this year. And eventually the wheels will come off. Frank will be in the shit. And the cycle continues because
back to square one, isn't it?
Levy doesn't mean anything he says. He's the master at finessing and seducing and sucking fans in. I never once fell for it. And I'm not surprised, Dan, man. I'm not surprised.
No.
It's that,
I mean,
that's where I'm at, bro. That's where I'm at with it, man.
When it comes to what you say there, I can't really argue it. I mean, I'm still saying, yeah, we needed the new manager for the sheer fact we needed to have more capability with the squad. But at the end of the day, when you've still got Levy doing the football business side of it, what are we going to do? And you know me, I try and look on things on both sides. And I do say, as a club on the business side, he's had things right. But when it comes to the football side, he fucks it up nearly every single time, 9 times out of 10. I mean, the list of players you can go through where we have had the chance to sort something out, and it is all down to the fact that he has just piss-balled about with a couple of million quid or a little bit on the deal, like just a couple on the list I got on here. Dybala, Suarez, Diaz, Fernandez, Villa, Morentinez, Hulk, Willian, Alves, Hazard, Mane, Etu, Grealish, and the list goes on and on and on of players that we pretty much had on the plate and we just didn't get the job done. He just don't get it to work. And I do agree with you. The most it's going to change in, we get a manager that can do better and make us finish better than 17th. We needed that. But until we've got Levy willing to do the football side of it and get the players we need and get the players in, you're right. Nothing is going to change. Nothing will change in that aspect. Because the other bit quick. Yeah. I agree with you on the way he went and done that show in the aspect of, I want us to win the league. I want us to win the Champions League. And this is where I think so many people heard it, took it different. He didn't lie. He was telling the truth. Of course he wants to win the league. Of course he wins the Champions League. Of course he does. Who doesn't? Wants the money in. He didn't say we're going to do it and he's going to put the money in towards it or nothing else. And that, like you said, he's a smart person. Now, if he would have said on there, I want us to do this, we are going to do this, I am going to put the different story. He just said what a lot of people wanted to hear, basically, in the aspect of, I want us to do that. Yeah, well, it don't look like it either, does it?
No. Listen, like I've said, Dan, he's the master at knowing what to say. Look, he knew by bringing in a new manager, whoever he brought in, right? Forget that it's Frank. Whoever he brought in, he knew he could buy another year or two off the fans, right? He just bides time. He kicks the can down the road. He built a stadium and he paid himself a bonus for going over budget and it being delayed. He got a bonus for that. He then becomes the highest paid chairman in Premier League football for winning, at the time, 1 trophy in 24 years. He brings in Vinay, which is an admission that he completely fucked it, bringing in Mun, right? Completely screwed up by having Mun. He brings in Vinay, sacks Ange. So that project that he sold us was a lie. That project's dead. Another project dead. And then we get sold a new project with Frank and Vinay and this and that. And he sat there doing that video with Vinay. And I watched that video and I thought, this is the biggest bromance schmooze fest I've ever seen.
Cringe was a fucking understatement, mate.
It was.
I'm just glad on there, mate. You couldn't see the hands were under the table. That was about as cringy as it could get.
Do you know what I mean? It was awful watching them two. I thought, this is the most choreographed piece of shit. And all Vinay did, he's another puppet. He's another puppet. He sat there. Yeah, Daniel, I could really see what it meant to you, that final. I looked over and I could see how emotional you were. Stop it. Please. What is this? What am I listening to? Is this Love Island? This is awful. And I knew from there on, Vinay's a puppet. He's going to be no different in the boardroom.
You think he's going to be the same?
Yeah, you could tell. Look, I don't think fans should be angry because that means you really thought things were going to change. But you shouldn't be excited either because it's not going to change. I'm not angry or excited for this season, Dan. I've said all along, I'm just going to let this season play out, and it is what it is.
Just let it roll out.
Yeah, you have to. You have to, because Spurs fans have got this really bad habit of getting their hopes up way too high for no
very quickly.
For no reason. Like, there's nothing to back it up. There's no evidence to back it up. And at the same time, the media manipulates us. Like I've you heard me say it. The journalists, the ITKs, the big up, mate, and the football agents, they put out information to get us gossiping. Then they feed on that by adding little extra bits in their tweets. And what they do is they manipulate us like puppets so that they can make a career. Their career is based off of bullshitting us, lying, and then when it all goes tits up, all their excuses come out. But you never said any of that during the process. Now you're telling us this. I can't stand them, man. I can't stand the journalists, the ITKs, the football agents, the way they manipulate fans and the way fans lap it up. It just... And that's why I have that saying, until the players wearing the shirt, believe nothing. The only people in negotiation that knows what's going on are the two chairmen and the football directors. They're the ones that know what's going on. They know the ins and outs. And there's not one journalist or one ITK that's in that room having those conversations. Not a single one. It's the biggest pantomime theatre. Fabrizio Romano's become a millionaire off of gossip. What a career! He's
off of information he gets off his wife, innit? I mean, look, let me just go to a couple of super chats quick.
He asks ChatGPT and then he just tweets whatever ChatGPT tells him. It's unbelievable.
You know, well, then maybe he needs to get paid for the better version of it. All right, Stephen, Dan, you're a legend. I love listening to your commentary. Thanks, mate. You always look at both sides and stay calm, except when Lubo talks rubbish. Keep it great work, mate. Just the point I wanted to bring with that one. Lubo don't talk rubbish. He has a different opinion on certain things. Same as Stel does, same as I do, same as Sava does, same as Brian does and everything else. At the end of the day, mate, we're all entitled to our opinions. And if I see it one way and Ian sees it another way, that's just how it is. I mean, he's right when he talks about Levy on the football side of it. He's an awful chairman. So thanks, mate. It is appreciated. But the Lubo talks rubbish thing, that's a bit unfair, but it is much appreciated, mate. And Big D becoming a member, thank you very much, mate. Appreciated. And Big D also saying here, just want to apologise to Stel for being negative. You were 100% right. I hold my hands up and apologies. I fell into the Levy trap yet again. Do you know what? It's when people can come on and just put their hands up and say, do you know what? Yeah, it's done me good and proper. I can do it to a certain extent and say maybe I got too excited. with about a bit of this as well. I agree with what you said, Stel, in the aspect of I thought the Eze one was actually going to go through, but like me and a couple of mates spoke to about it, I said I still ain't going to believe it until he's actually wearing the Spurs shirt. And Big D, thank you very much, mate. As always, as gifted HotspurHood membership. Thank you very much, Big D. It is much appreciated, mate. Dave, how we doing, fella?
You all right, mate? Yeah, not too bad. You all right, Stel? Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, I'm buzzing, mate. Bring it on.
I will have to jump shortly, Dan. I've got a very busy day today, but I'll have you on in the background, and if I can keep jumping on and off, because I've got a feeling you might be on for a few hours, I will do. How am I feeling? Well, Stel's just stolen my thunder because his rant on the journalisms and ITKs, or whatever you call them, is absolutely 100% spot on. If you're one of these people that sit there and believe what you see written down or what you see on Sky Sports News by the so-called transfer experts, and if you believe that, then you're absolutely deserve the disappointment that you're feeling today. Am I disappointed that Eze's not coming to Spurs? 100%. I think he's an absolute top player. He's a player that elevates us. I mean, I think we're struggling for top European positions in terms of sort of fifth, sixth this season. I think he elevates us into that position, gets us just outside the top four. So from a player point of view, I'm absolutely disappointed. However, he never wanted to come to Spurs. He had his heart set on Arsenal. And the only reason it's taken so long is because Arsenal needed to get their finances in order. They've obviously spent big elsewhere, and their bigger priority positions this transfer window. And I think what they were doing was waiting to get the players like Kivior, Zinchenko out the door before they went for Eze. But I think because it looked like possibly we might steal a march on them, they've gone, no, we'll take a bit of a financial risk, get Eze in now, then we'll do our outgoings and maybe take a few £1 million hit in the pocket because people know we've got to sell them, therefore their value goes down slightly. I think that's
the risk we would never take. The risk we would never take, basically.
Potentially, yeah, but they're in a stronger position in terms of their squad and their league position to be able to do that. And fair play to them, you know, you can't have a go at them for that. But going back to my main point, Eze never wanted to come to Spurs. We was always going to be the bridesmaid for him. If he couldn't go to Arsenal, he might have considered us because we are bigger than Palace and we offer Champions League football. But in his heart, he always wanted to go to Arsenal. So actually, do we really want a player like that would rather play for Arsenal than Spurs? I mean, he's a professional. He'd still come and do a job for us. Of course he would. But at the end of the day, it's not a bigger loss from that side of things from my end. I am gutted we've missed out on a player of that quality. So please don't mishear what I'm trying to say there. I think he's an absolute terrific player. From my point of view, my frustrations are from the journalist side of this and people believe in it, because I switch off over the summer until a player's signed. I don't give a toss what's written, what's said on Sky Sports News, what's said on Twitter and social media, etc. It's all a load of bullshit. 99% of the stuff you hear is absolute bullshit. My biggest concern is always with Spurs is the slowness in building our squad. And our squad needs a lot of building. We should have had more signings in the door for the first day of pre-season. That's where my anger for this board goes to. We should have had the players that we needed in the priority positions in that door for the first day of pre-season, and then you use the rest of the transfer window to make your squad go from 90-95% up to the 100% complete, where you do a smart deal here or there to finish off your squad. But those key gaping holes that we've got in a squad should have been filled weeks ago. So am I pissed off today? Yeah, but I'm pissed off about what's happened in the last few weeks as opposed to what happened yesterday. At the end of the day, I always knew Eze was going to Arsenal, so I'm quite comfortable with that. It'll be interesting. This is the bit where I do probably agree with the majority of the fans. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Now we go to reacting mode. However, again, pinch of salt. We could have always been waiting for one or two other players that maybe haven't been reported or have been reported on a lot less. We could have a couple of deals behind the scenes that we don't know about. So it's always a case of wait and see with transfers. But with our history, you kind of sit there and believe it when you think we're in a bit of a panic mode now from the board level. We need players in.
Go on, mate. Finish what you're saying. Sorry.
No,
Oh, God,
I'm
that's
just going to
what
finish
you're
up with like I did jump on last night. I did have a chuckle. I saw that there was like 10 windows of people on there, so I thought, no, I'm not even going to bother trying to jump on.
saying.
But I did watch along for 20 minutes, and obviously it was made for good TV. But I
Yeah,
just
it was.
this is a personal thing. I would never let myself get that emotionally carried away when it comes to transfers. And this rhetoric that you're going to see in social media, because obviously it's an absolute crazy world these days with social media. This rhetoric that Arsenal hijacked the deal is absolutely 100% BS. You know,
You
they're going to
think?
sit there and say, "Oh, we got one over Tottenham." No, Arsenal always wanted Eze. Arsenal were
Hmm.
always favourites to sign Eze. If you believe the journalism that comes out of this country these days in sport, then that's more for you. This was always going on in the background. All Arsenal were waiting to do was sort out their finances. They've wanted this player from day one. They had other priorities to do first. But Eze was always going to Arsenal. The only way he wasn't going to Arsenal is if they turned around and said, we really don't have the finances to do this, which was a possibility. I'm not saying it was never not a
I
possibility.
reckon, Dave, if we'd have put that money down 2 weeks ago like we had to, I think Spurs would have got him. For the reason being, yes, he's an Arsenal supporter. He wanted to go Arsenal, whatever. We all knew that. But they hadn't put the bid in or whatever. And if the option was there, I think he even said it'd go Spurs. And that was purely down to we got World Cup coming, Champions League football and that. If we would have just put the money on the fucking table when we had to, I think we would have had him 2 weeks ago. But the fact
No,
that you're saying Arsenal was interested from day, go on.
all I'll say no to that is, Dan, because theoretically you're 100% correct in what you're saying. But as soon as we'd have had that bid accepted by Crystal Palace, whether it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, as soon as that bid was accepted, Arsenal would have been notified by Eze's agent. By the way, Palace have accepted Tottenham's bid. If you want him, act now. It would have happened 4 weeks ago. What we saw yesterday would have happened 4 weeks ago. So it's absolutely irrelevant about us not putting the money down and getting the deal over the
Dave,
line, because as soon as we got it agreed, Arsenal would have been notified and they would have moved.
but Dave, you're
That's my
guessing.
theory.
I'm glad you said that's a theory, because the reality is we didn't pay the release clause, so we didn't
No,
even test that. And
no.
when we did, and when we did go in, we lowballed it. Right?
Yeah.
Look, I don't know what to believe in terms of what we offered, but if we're going to believe what they say, it was 55 million plus some other bits if something happened. Right? Arsenal. Romero announced that it's a 68 million pound deal, which is basically the release clause money. So we've gone in 8 million pound less. So yeah, if Spurs bid 65 and Arsenal bid 65, Eze will go to Arsenal. Right? If both clubs put an equal offer, I agree with you there. He would go to Arsenal. But here's the thing: we had an opportunity to not allow that to happen, and then to say to Arsenal, right, what you got? We're paying the release clause, because for me, do you know, I don't think it's losing Eze that's pissed off fans here. I think it's the fact that the way it looks, Spurs didn't do everything they could have to show that they were really, really serious about getting Eze. If we had just paid that release clause, it's very difficult for us fans to say, hold on, Levy's fucked us here. No, he's matched the release clause. He did what was asked. If Levy went in with a bid of 70 million pounds to say, we are going to pay the money because we want him, and then Arsenal came in and paid 75, I don't think you, me, anyone could argue that Levy didn't try. Because come on, man, we've put in a record bid. We've never ever spent that money. The reality is we didn't pay the transfer release clause fee, and we lowballed it, and it just makes us yet again look like we didn't do what it really took to at least say we mean business. And I think that's what's done it, because Arsenal have come in and said there's 68 million. Yeah, makes sense. You're paying more. And
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's
You're right,
that's
Stel.
yeah.
If we'd have done it 6 weeks ago, paid that money and got the activated release clause and got an agreement with Crystal Palace, you're right. We would have had a better chance of getting Eze over the line, because Arsenal's finances at that point were focused elsewhere. We might have stolen a march. I still think he ends up at Arsenal. But you're right, it gives us a better chance and we behave like a bigger club if we do it that way. But ultimately, we did meet the release clause in the end. And it came down to the Arsenal the players' preference to go to Arsenal. But you are right on the timing. Had we have acted earlier, acted like a big club and just gone, there's the money earlier, we would have had a better chance. But I still think that chance is 5% going up to 10%. I still don't believe the player ever wanted to come to us. That's my belief. I have no obviously facts to go on.
What did Spurs bid? What was our bid in the end?
I think
it was 55 plus 8 million or 5 million, whatever it was in bits and that. I think it was down to the fact of I can only go by what I read and that, and I've read about 10 different things on it. Is that Arsenal offered that bit more money, but then offered them more money on the payments, quicker payments in such. Example, instead of giving them £15 million a year, they offered them £20 million a year over a
This
short
is what I
term.
mean. This is what I mean. Arsenal offered a better deal. Arsenal put a better package on the table.
Levy should have come in and said, right, that's the one we're going to offer then, and gone a step further, basically.
And that's why I think you're seeing the meltdown, is because fans truly believe Levy. If we missed out to Arsenal, fans wouldn't get upset because they know Arsenal were always going to be the favourites over us two. It's the fact Levy didn't put down enough of a marker to show the fans, I really mean business. I'm not mucking around it.
To be fair,
that's what's let us down. It's Levy.
Where Arsenal have got the better of us on this one, because they was always going to get Eze. I live comfortably in the knowledge of that was going to happen. What they deserve credit for, and I hate saying this, but where they've done better for us is, you know, when you're trying to buy something on eBay and you're watching that price go up and up and up and up, and the time going down and down and down and down, you wait until the last minute and go, right, that's how much it is. I'm coming over the top with my price. And I think all they've done is let us do the negotiating with Palace. When we've got it accepted, they've gone, right, that's the acceptable term with Palace. We'll offer a little bit more or better payment terms in terms of more upfront and more sort of less instalments so they get their money quicker. And they've come in and acted like the bigger club. But I think they could do that when they know the player prefers them over us anyway. So I don't think that's necessarily an Arsenal versus Tottenham thing. I think that was more the player preferred them and they could wait and be patient. Let us do the negotiating. But it also wouldn't surprise me if we kind of knew this was always going to be a risky transfer or a non-starter and we're trying to get it done, but we've got other targets in the background. I'm being a very optimistic Spurs fan when I say that because I know what our history's like. But yeah, I think Arsenal were sitting there just waiting and being patient because they could afford to be. We couldn't. We should have acted quicker. You're right, Stel. But I still don't think it would have made a difference anyway. But we would have had a better chance, 100%.
Yeah, I can see that as well. They could basically waited until they see the deal that got agreed and just offered the better deal. But Stel is also right there in the fact of that Levy should have seen that and said, right, we want him. We're going to now offer a better deal than that. If it would have been that he offered the better deal and that they offered the same deal and then he goes Arsenal, I agree with Stel. I think even you, Stel, admitted. I think even Brian would admit it and the rest of us would admit it. At least you would have seen he'd done all he could. He didn't even go in and put in a bid for after that. That is what has really pissed off a few people as well.
Mate, 100%. I don't know the ins and outs of deals, and because I don't believe what journos say. But if Gibbs White had a release clause fee, pay it. You pay the fee, it's done.
Put the money on the fucking table, innit?
Yeah. If Eze has got a release clause, pay the release clause. It's done, and then it's over to Arsenal. But we never did either in both scenarios. Man City reportedly now want however many, they want £70 million for Savinho. If you really want him, you got to pay 70 million. If you're not going to pay 70 million, stop flapping around. And we drag these deals out. That Gibbs White, how long did that go on for? This Eze deal, how long did it go on for? And whilst, I mean, look, it's wishful thinking from Dave. We'll find out if he's right or not over the next week or so. But the longer
I don't think I am right, by the way.
Well, listen, we'll find out, right? We'll see. You never know. The time we spend on these deals, when they go tits up, we're now left with not much time to get the other deals done. And the issue now, and this is the one that's going to slap us so hard in the face, and this is why now I don't believe we're going to sign a top player. Every club in world football has just watched what's happened to Spurs with Gibbs, White, and Eze. So they know we are so desperate that we're in panic mode. They're going to, these clubs aren't stupid. They'll look at fan reaction, they'll gauge the mood, and they'll say, do you know what? We've got Levy and Tottenham by the balls now. If they want to come and sign my player, who's valued at 50 million, he ain't going anywhere for less than 65. And that's how business works, supply and demand. The supply window is closing, the demand goes up, price goes up. And this is what's going to happen. If I'm a chairman of a football club and I've got a player worth 40 million and you want him, I'm gonna say, do you know what? I'm going to make you sweat. And you're going to give me 50 million, whether you like it or not. You can tell yourself you're not. But as I drag this out and it gets to 2 days to the window shuts, you're going to pay that 50 million. And the same happened with Porro. We didn't want to pay. In the end, it got to the last day, right, there's 42 million. Fuck me, we need him. And this is what's going to happen now. Clubs are going to bend us over. And we're not going to have any angle to negotiate with on this because they hold all the cards. We're desperate. We're the ones that are thirsty. We're the ones that are running out of water. They've got their water. They've got their stock of Evian in the fridge. We're running on empty. And this is what's going to happen now. And this is why I think we're going to end up with some underwhelming signings. I think we're going to end up with some underwhelming signings.
You know what it's like?
Dibson. Hang on a sec, Dave. Dibson and that as well. Just want to say big thanks to James Reed. Much appreciated, mate. James Reese, much appreciated. Big up Dan and the panel. Love to see it. Love to see the channel grow. Thank you very much, mate. It's very much appreciated. Go on, Dave, with what you're saying. And thanks again to James. Really appreciated.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Stel's saying there. I think, a good analogy is like you say, for example, the Oasis concerts at the moment, right? Very sought after tickets that you want. And they're going on sale on, I don't know, the 1st of January, let's just say, arguably. They're going on sale 1st of January. You can buy a ticket on the 1st of January for this price. And what Levy wants to do is sit there, not buy it on the 1st of January when the tickets are a set price. What he wants to do, and this makes no sense, by the way, and this is agreeing with Stel's analogy, what he was just talking about. What he wants to do is sit there and wait until the tickets are sold out, go onto the black market and pay extortionate amounts for that original ticket that cost a lower amount. And that's what he does. And you wouldn't do that if you was buying Oasis tickets. You would sit there, be ready. I know it's obviously hard for the Oasis tickets, but you would sit there on the 1st of January and pay the agreed price because you want to go and watch Oasis. You wouldn't sit there and wait until all the tickets are sold out and buy it on the black market. You wouldn't do that as a human being, would you? Because it makes no economical sense. And it's sitting there costing you more money in the long run. Yet Levy, for example, he doesn't work like that with his transfers. And this is what the frustrating thing is over the course of the 25 years. He still thinks that there's a Dele Alli out there. There's a Rafa van der Vaart out there. Because those in the past have worked doing it this way. But those are the exceptions to the rule, but not the rule. Most of the time, the better signings come when you sit there and go, right, 6 months before the transfer window opens, where are holes in our squad? Identify them, identify targets, prioritise those targets and go after target number 1 so that he's walking through that door on day 1 of pre-season. That's how proper clubs operate. We do not. We constantly try and chase the Dele Alli, a Rafa van der Vaart, a good player at a good price that will sit there and save us money, but also improve the squad. That's a very rare thing to do these days in football. You need to be better run football-wise, but it also don't help. And again, this is against the board, but we make this issue for ourselves. You keep chopping and changing that manager. It's hard to sit there and build that squad over time. When you look at Arteta and Arsenal, they're able to sit there and now manage their transfer windows far more sensibly because they've got a manager and a board of directors that are in the same direction. So after 4 or 5 years, their squad's in a good place and they can sit there and go, right, we only need a couple of players. and they go out there and sign those specific players for their specific positions. We sit there. I will finish with that Richarlison one, but we sit there and constantly change our managers. So our squad build is always in a turnover phase. It's never in a.
It's like we do it for the previous manager, and then the new one comes in. We've already got the players in. We're getting the players for the fucking previous manager, innit?
Yeah. But that Richarlison one. Sorry, I'll just finish with the Richarlison one quickly. How must that player feel, right? Because he's actually sat there and had a good pre-season. Started off the season well for us. He's obviously been a frustrated player injury-wise, so it's really hard to judge him because he's never had a full season playing fully fit. I totally understand players, people not thinking he's good enough. I totally understand that point of view, but he's never really had a proper run of 20, 30 games fully fit, so it's hard to judge him fully. But how must he feel when he sits there and sees, right, you've been after this player all pre-season, you've got the money to buy him outright, and now all of a sudden, last minute, you're sitting there trying to get money off by offering me so you can get another striker in Wissa in. Again, pinch of salt whether this is true. But he's reading these reports. How must that do for that player's confidence going forward? That is probably what pisses me off more than us not getting Eze over the line, is that not only have we not got the player we've wanted to sign, we've also upset one of the players in our squad, when we didn't need to. It's just bonkers.
You know what? I can see where you're coming from. I mean, that's another point I'm going to go to in the aspect of, again, the Spurs fans are satisfied so easy. All of a sudden, Richie is the R9. He's going to do it for. And don't get me wrong, two great goals the other day. He's had a couple of good games. Same as Papa Sarr. He's looked good over the past 5 games, couple of them friendlies and that. But then all of a sudden, you get a lot of the Spurs fan base. All of a sudden, we've got great players there. They don't need to go. They're going to be the next dog's bollocks and that. And there is nothing to prove that, bar a couple of games. But I do also think that's a fair point you make there in the aspect, Dave, as he finally has a couple of good and all of a sudden he's offered at the last minute, even though we have been actually trying to get rid of him. But in the point of that one is, if we would have given Richarlison and got Eze, then as all we've got up front is Solanke, or maybe some will say Tel as well. But then that's all we got up front as well, and we'd have had to go and buy a striker as well. So that's why I didn't quite get the point of putting Richie in it at the moment, unless they already had a plan to get another striker. I mean, this whole thing is just frustrating. I mean, so where do you two for it? Just a quick one. Rick Kane for the super sticker. Thanks a lot, mate. Much appreciated. Cheers. Where do you think we're going to go in this transfer window now? Are we going to go anywhere? Is it just going to be the fact that we're just going to see a couple of desperate buyers, basically? Do you think we should do that? Or do you think just maybe, do you know what, bollocks, we've lost out on this one, keep the money in the background and try it and do something in January? I mean, where do we go now? What do we do?
Well, January's harder than the summer. January's a very difficult.
Very true.
By the way, Dan, check the private chat. I've always felt that Frank has been brought in to work with the existing squad. Frank's been brought in to get a tune out of this squad. Forget what the board say and what fans say and everyone thinks. I honestly believe Frank has been brought in to get a tune out of this squad, and that's why they brought him in, because they believe this squad is better than what it was under Ange, and a better manager can get a tune out of them. I've always felt this squad's bang average, and yeah, we were always going to sign a couple of players. But if we were really, really serious about signing some top talent, we would have done it, man. We would have done it. We would have got it over the line. We're not a small club. We're not a Mickey Mouse football club. If we want to get business done, we can. It's the desire and the tenacity and the speed of execution. You know, look at the stadium. We came up against obstacles. Came up against delays. We came up against rising costs. They got it over the line. Do you know why? They wanted it. They wanted that stadium. They wanted the finances that come with it. They wanted that cash flow. They wanted that project under their belt. They never gave in. They don't show that level of hunger, desire, and ambition for the football. They don't. They never have. They never will. So for me, I never believed Frank was coming in to be given lots of really good players. I don't think he was either. Yeah, I've never bought into that. Frank's been brought in to be given a couple of signings and work with this squad, work with what
Exactly.
you've got.
Yes.
And unfortunately, people think, some, not all, but some people think that this squad is so much better than what it was under Ange. It's not. It's better than 17th, 100%, but it's not so much better. Right? We especially with no Kulu, no Madders, and no Son, especially without those three. Look what we're left with. So, look, if we don't sign a couple of really top players, Frank's in big trouble. I think we're going to end up with the Tyler Dibblings and the El Canuses now, and they're going to be all right, but we're not going to compete with the other top 6 clubs. If you look at Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, whack
Newcastle on it as well.
Villa. I think we're. Listen, even Brighton haven't even got Europe this year. They can just focus on the league. You know, we've got so many games of football this year. That's where we're going to come unstuck. We've got too many games. If it was like Ange's first season, just the Premier League, I think top 6 maybe. But Champions League, not Europa Cup, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, mate, we're going to unravel. We're going to completely unravel, like as it stands now. Frank's not going to get the tune out of this squad that this board think he can. So,
I mean, I think we had a significantly better team than 17th. And this is where I'm 100% with you. I mean, I said this one from the start, that I think Frank has been brought in as the ideal manager to work with Levy in that aspect of, there you go, there's your couple of players, now get the best out of the team you've got. And I think he's a very good pick of a choice of a coach for that, because he has proven that he can get better out of players and he can play different formations and change to the game and that. I mean, I'm with you on the aspect, which a lot of others aren't, is that I think he got that game against Paris Saint-Germain bang on all the way until the last 15 minutes with the transfers. Again, we can go and say that's all personal opinion at the end of the day, each their own again. But there was a very positive side to it, but the transfers at the end, at the end, I think the subs at the end actually weren't the best of ideas what he done, and I do think to an extent that cost us the game, but I do think there was positive sides to it as well. But I totally agree with what you're saying. I think he has been brought in as the one of like, right, you seem to have a history of, you can make younger players better, you can work with other players, you can make better out of players, get the better out of them. And I think, yeah, I agree, he has just been basically brought in for the fact that he works in with Levy's style in the aspect of play with the cards you got, which I think he's definitely more capable than of what Ange was, but he's not exactly being given many cards here. At least Ange got given about 4 or 5 players in that first team. So far, we've got 2.
Listen, what serious football club who wants to win the big trophies? What serious big trophy ambitious football club spends £40 million on fucking Matthias Tel? Let's have it right. What has he ever done in his life as a footballer to command a 40 million? Same as Archie Gray. Who spends £40 million on Archie Gray? It's madness. Odegaard, Tel, and Archie Gray have cost us a combined £120 million.
And Odegaard.
I've just added him in. 120 million.
Oh, sorry.
Those 3. Yeah, Tel, Gray, Odegaard. 120 million. And then you wonder why we won't put down 70 million for Eze. Why we won't just pay 70 million for Gibbs White. It's because we've wasted the money on average football players who have proven nothing, who are more hope than what they are substance. And we rest our laurels on that. But the thing is, Tel, Gray, Odegaard have all got one thing in common, other than being average. Their salary is peanuts. They're cheap labour. It's like they've come off the boat, give them an Uber Eats job, cheap labour. Right? That no disrespect to migrants, but that's basically what we're doing here. Where can we get
the boat in?
So we're happy to spend 40 million because we're going to save a killing on the wage bill. But when you pay 70 million for Eze, mate, Eze wants a proper salary. And this is where we're at with it, man. We've wasted the transfer budget. See, what we should be doing, Dan, is this. Instead of giving 120 million on Odebert, Tell, and Gray, we should say, right, 70 million on Eze, get that done. We've still got 50 million left. We've got a bit extra now to pay wages. We've got extra to pay the wages, and we'll probably still be left with 40 million. But we don't do that. Instead, let's get in all the Uber Eats, Deliveroo massive, put them in the squad. Right, manager, win us the league. What planet are we on?
It is crazy, mate, what we are like. And just bring up a couple more super chats. Aussie Frank Lover. Thanks a lot, mate, for the super chat. Well appreciated. Question. Does Vivian Lewis has any pull over Levy? She likes football and wasn't happy with the last season. Now seeing Levy work on the transfers and fail, she could push and change if she is at the club. I mean, what do you think on that?
I think that the Lewis family have got far more involved in the last 18, 24 months. And that's why I think you've seen a few changes in the way we've proceeded with certain things. Her specifically, I couldn't answer that, but I think the Lewis family have got more. They've taken a bit away from Levy and gone, we need to get a little bit more involved with the day-to-day. I don't think it's enough. I still think we need more change, but I think I've definitely noticed a bit of a culture shift behind the scenes in the last 18 to 24 months. I don't know if Stel agree.
I mean, what do you reckon on that one?
So you're asking me?
Yeah. Well,
look, I've
it's
been
there
hearing
for everyone.
I've been hearing for years and years and years that Joe Lewis's daughter hates Levy, and if she ever gets in control, she'll fix us. Mate, I've been hearing this for 10 years. I don't believe any of it. I don't believe no one that I know is that close to the Lewis. I don't know anyone who's close to the Lewis family to be telling me this, right?
I haven't got a clue.
We come up with
the inland revenue.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're called the IRS in America, the tax the FBI. I just these stories circulate and fans just run with it, and it's good pub chat, isn't it? It's good pub gossip. You know, oh yeah, Vivian ain't gonna have it if she gets in charge. Who's Vivian? I've never seen her. I've never met her. Who spoke to Vivian to get this information? Look, all we know is this. Enoch owns Tottenham. Levy owns part of Enoch. They go hand in glove. Lewis and Levy are like this. They own property companies together. One's not going to stab the other in the back. They need each other. At the end of the day, when you say Enoch, you've got to put Levy in the conversation. If you say Levy, you've got to put Enoch in the conversation. We say Levy more than anything because we see Levy. He talks
because he's there on the plate, basically, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas we do know it's a lot to do with others as well. And just before I come to you, Matt, again, Aussie Frank Glover, thanks a lot, mate. Being generous today, it's much appreciated. I'm trying to pull any positives out of this basket case club, any angle that can help get Levy gone, mate. Is at the end of the day, it is.
Yeah, but you see, Ange, that guy, Ange Lover. On the Spurs 5, when I was saying things haven't changed, Frank's been brought in to work with the squad, stop buying into it. He's calling me out. Now he's saying I want to get Levy out. Like, where are Ange Lover? Decide where you are with this whole situation, because you know you're the kind of fan that calls me a flip flop. Now you're a flip flop. Listen, I hope you're on board. I hope you get it now. I hope you realise what this chairman's about.
Some people, it just takes to a certain level to change an opinion or to see what's happening and whatever. Some people live on that bit more hope than others. Like, no, we got that wrong. I've got hope we'll get this and this right. Whereas others are like, yeah, we've got that wrong again. It's Spurs what it is. It's just people got different levels of opinion. People got different levels before they change it, whatever else than that. But it is much appreciated for the super chats. Thanks. Matt, haven't seen you for a while. How you doing, fella? Matt, are you there or are you frozen?
He's got a delay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now, mate.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
He's got a delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think your internet's doing too well on you, mate.
Hang on. Let me come out and come back in.
I can hear you now. I can hear you fine now.
Yeah,
Pause
let me
10
come out.
Then it'll answer. Just pause 10 seconds, then it'll answer. It's like, you know when that happens, it's like, the spaceship's landed on the moon. Can you, astronauts, can you hear us? Have you landed?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see anyone can look at anything positive now. Again, we're going to go into this thing where I think there's going to be a couple of nightmares in this season in the aspect the amount of pressure Frank's going to be on him, a lot of comparisons. I mean, you've always got to compare to the season before, the manager before, in my opinion, because that's how you check whether you're improving or not. But there's going to be a lot of ones out there for points. There's going to be a lot out there for this. And with what's happened then, you're a big part of this, Stel. What do you think about the protest then? The one we just had, the one we could be getting. How do you reckon we should go about it? Because personally, I think this is going to it could have a massive effect on how protests go and that. I don't think doing the protests on the first game of the season was the smartest thing to do, but it's not my call at the end of the day. I mean, Dave, Stel, what do you two reckon on that?
Well, look, I don't run Change for Tottenham, and I don't lead them. Okay, they are their own entity. I've never been invited to be part of them, and I've never been invited to help them run it. I helped the other ones, the Levy out, which ran for years, and we never got more than maximum 200 people at that protest. On average, we got about 50, 60. I personally don't think Change for Tottenham should have protested at the last one, but I get why they did it, because if you're going to protest, you've got to go early to try and get the numbers. If you go last minute, you're not going to get the numbers. And they took a punt that would get battered in the Super Cup, and that this Eze thing wouldn't happen. And what actually happened was we nearly won the Super Cup, and fans felt proud of the performance. And the Eze deal was ramping up. So I think they caught the mood incorrectly. The thing with protesting is, if you really want it to work, you've either got to do it when the team's on a really bad run of games, or when fans have reacted badly to something. It's like, now is the time to be considering protest, because fans are in panic mode. And they're really upset about the Eze deal, especially him going to Arsenal. It feels like a Sol Campbell type moment. But
it is one of the worst since Sol Campbell, in my opinion. This is one of the ones that has hurt most since then.
Mate, this is a massive L. We've taken a massive slap in the face here. This is be under no illusion.
Hands down.
But they still shouldn't do a protest yet. Now, I messaged them and I said, guys, be patient. Don't react. You've got to wait till the 1st of September, because on the 1st of September, we will know exactly who we've signed, who we've released, and what Frank has got to work with. Because if we do go and sign a couple of, let's say we do sign Savinho and we sign Lookman, I think fans will say, do you know what? That's not too bad. If we don't, if we go and sign El Canouse and Dibbling, I think you'll find the protest will be massive. It'll be hugely underwhelming off the back of, we're going to win the Premier League and the Champions League. We want to win all that, blah, blah, blah. So they've just got to wait and see what happens. And if the transfer window kind of ends how it is now, the protest will be huge. It'll be the biggest they've ever seen, because fans aren't going to fucking tolerate a year of watching us play like Stoke City, because that's the hands that Frank's been given. We're not going to play Burnley every week. So we're going to have to be more defensive, more pragmatic, and we haven't got the attack to properly attack. And we are going to look like Stoke. Fans aren't going to tolerate it. They won't. So for me, we will know what's what then. We will know what we're going to end up with this season. So
I mean,
we'll see.
The fact that it has to go to that, though, is where I asked the questions. Basically, are were most of the people at the protest for Levy out? I know there was a lot there for it when I was at the one with you and Brian and everyone else. Or the other question I had was a lot of them there for just for the situation. And I don't believe the people should be there at the protests for just that situation, that moment. They should be there for Levy, Enoch out for over the 25 years, not over just because this transfer went wrong or whatever. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, look, I've been to enough protests to know that the majority of people that come are directing their anger at the board. At the end of the day, people are pissed off because Ange is there. The board put Ange there. The anger is at the board, which is why so many carry yellow scarf saying Enoch out, Levy. Not saying Ange out. You never saw an Ange out banner at the protest. It was all Levy, Enoch. It's just Ange fueled the anger towards the board. Just like Conte, he fueled the anger towards the board. I don't think fans are angry with Frank. I don't think fans are pissed off with Frank. I think the real anger is that they feel, and this is just me trying to interpret the fan base, not my personal opinion. I honestly believe right now the fans feel they've got a good manager, a good coach, and he's not being given the tools to do the job to the best of his ability, and that he's being let down and effectively being thrown under a bus. That's what I think most fans feel when it comes to Frank. I personally feel a little bit different. I think, Frank, if you don't know what job you've signed up for, then you're oblivious to mankind, because after what happened with Conte and his rant and what we've seen Ange do, lift the trophy and still get sacked because the league position wasn't good enough. If you don't know what club you're joining, if you don't know what club you've signed up for, then you've got to take a bit of accountability as well, Frank, because at this club, you're expected to work with the tools you're given and you're expected to develop players. And if you can't do that, then I'm sorry, you've signed up for the wrong job. But at the same time, Frank deserves to be backed. He's inherited a squad that isn't his. He's lost some key players, Son, Maddison, Kulu. The minimum Frank deserves is to have those replacements brought in so he can do his job. So as much as I'm saying, look, Frank's got to earn his money, he doesn't get a free pass. He doesn't. He's also got to be backed. He's got to be given some support from the board. And so far, he hasn't been given that support.
No. Matt, how are we doing, mate? You want it? You hear everything properly now?
Yeah. Really good. Thanks.
That's
Dan.
better.
And welcome.
Good to see you, mate. I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah.
So come on.
I saw you.
Give us your whole opinion on this whole situation, everything with Eze that's happened, the whole lot. Give us your thing on the whole thing, mate.
Look, I think it was strategic. I think it was a PR stunt. I think there was no sincere plan to sign Eze. I think we tried to use Eze as an example of Tottenham's ambition. I personally believe that Arsenal we're always going to get him, but I think Spurs used it as a tool to show the fan base that we are active, we are in negotiations. As Thomas Frank said in one of his last interviews, that Daniel Levy and Lange are working 24 hours a day to try and make deals. So I think that was the illusion that I think Levy and Enoch want to portray. The Gueye bid, the 70 million Gueye bid in January, I think January the 30th or January the 31st, was another PR stunt to show, we have money and we are ambitious. If that was a genuine bid for Gueye, why didn't we go back in for him the moment the transfer window opened this summer? So it's just, they give you subliminal messages to kind of make you think we are in the market. The reality is we have a very, very tight wage cap. We have a very tight budget on what we spend per player. So when they talk about we are data driven, we're also numerically driven. We go after players within the £80,000 a week budget and 25 to 30 million budget. To prove that, since the start of the Premier League in 1992, do the calculation and how many times Tottenham have spent 30 million or more on a player. We're considerably lower, sometimes 3 times lower than our rivals. And this is not just Chelsea and Man City with oil money and whatever else. This is also including Liverpool. This is also including Arsenal. So any way we dress this up, we are severely restricted by the business model that they run. So it's great for YouTubers. I don't have a YouTube channel, so I understand it's really good for clicks to keep talking and addressing what about this player and what about that player. It's very simple. Look at players under £80,000 a week and look at players between 25 and 30 million. That is our market. We've only spent 50 million or more twice in our history. One of them is Kudus and one of them is Dominic Solanke. Yes, Richarlison with add-ons gets to that number. But for a club that's supposed to be challenging for top 4 and major honours with £1 billion stadium, why don't fans ask the question, why are clubs like Nottingham Forest, why are clubs like Aston Villa, why are they leapfrogging us on signing players every transfer window?
You know what, Matt, you're 100% right. I just want to bring up a quick one on here. Vindaloo, Arsenal supporter. Yeah. You know what? You're always on here. You always give a fair comment, mate. Same as Angus. You're always more than welcome. Because I like the way you're looking at it and you do go both sides sort of thing, yeah? Same as no matter how much I dislike Arsenal, I will always give them more credit than Chelsea because you can at least say Arsenal built their name and Chelsea bought their name, yeah? But that's a different story. But I think he's just banged a nail straight on the head here. If we're going to be honest, it's an Arsenal supporter who's just smashed it straight on the head if we're going to be honest with ourselves. We did try to warn everyone, calm down. You can't believe Romero, Orenston and Jacobs. The amount of BS on socials, yep, we all know that one. I know they're the top guys, but you need to step back on them on occasion. Levy was too slow. Can anyone actually even agree with what an Arsenal fan has just told us? Well, can anyone actually disagree with it? Go for it, Alex.
Listen, right? I said at the early part of the day yesterday, deal was off, right? Just a tongue in cheek because I thought we're going too slow. I thought we were taking the mick out of Crystal Palace with the 60 million. I thought it was derisory for a player like Eze. Derisory, as far as I was concerned. You know what I mean? Because I sat there and thought, if you're talking about people early in the window were saying, in Bremo's this price, this should be the similar price for Cunha. Semenyo's going for 70 million. Sorry, no disrespect, but Eze's better than those players. He's won 2 trophies the last two couple of months, right, with the Crystal Palace side, and actually was the main guy, one of the main guys. So you're telling me that was, and he's got how much on his contract still? So I knew it was a derisory offer. And I thought, okay, cool, we could get him, yeah. But people saying, where am I getting my sources from? I know my football club. Then, ever so happened, Arsenal get the injury, and then straight away, boom, done. And then people say, I see people getting all upset and everything else. I've just spoken to somebody I'm really good friends with, right, who's on YouTube. I don't want to go on about his name, but like we both sat there and said, are you angry? Nah. Why am I getting angry for when I've done this how many years now? You know what I mean? Why am I getting angry for? You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, people say, like, this is what I say, right? When people say, and give me some time, because people say I don't make the point. I'm making the point here, yeah? Right? People say, when we were winning stuff and winning games, say, Alex, just be happy. Mr. Box Office, just be happy. Why? 38 years old, going strong. Why do I need to be happy for when I need to see it? You know what I mean? Like, this is the point. That's the point. And I think Vindaloo's hit the nail on the head. But no disrespect, Vindaloo. We already knew this already, mate. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of us didn't, Alex. I think a lot of us didn't. Even down to me, I was to the point of I think this one will happen, and I was quite to it, but I still had the attitude of until I see him in the Spurs shirt, I ain't taking nothing gospel.
But Dan, you know how it works. You know what I mean? You know how it works with Tottenham. We're not stupid, are we? Yeah. Now, just to go on to the point, because other people need to make their points. Yeah. Stelios saying that, you know, change for Tottenham, right? Don't need shouldn't have protest. Yeah. And by the way, I don't like Jay because I didn't like the way that you spoke to. It was like me when I met him. Let's be honest here. So I've got no skill in the game, right? I'm just being honest here, right? Okay. But for me, they were absolutely spot on to protest on Saturday, right? Because you know why? Right, you need to keep it consistent. You need to keep the beast on the alert, as far as I'm concerned, right? Because if you don't do that, you're not serious, right?
Alex, one thing is set, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make a point here so I can keep going through the bloody chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ryan, man, let me on, Dan. I was at the protest on the weekend. What I'm going to do, mate, hopefully at the end of today is do a call-in show and you'd be more than welcome. Today, I'm just going to keep it to the panel. Otherwise, I'm going to have 100 people on here. So you're going to be more than welcome when I have the chat about it. So I have taken in what you said. But today, I'm just going to keep it with this lot and go on from there. Go on, Alex. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, and like I said, right? Okay, and like they need to keep it going because, as far as I'm concerned, consistency is very, very important, right? Just to keep the beast on their toes, right? If you don't keep the beast on their toes, right, it doesn't matter about what they get in the transfer window, right? It's like, well, sorry, that's only once in the blue moon. You need to do it more. You know what I mean? You keep them on their toes. You don't let them rest. You don't let them think, okay, I'm happy just because you gave me a little bit of a nugget, right? You keep them saying, sorry, yeah, cool. You keep it up. You keep going, right? Because you need to keep the standards, right? We're not going to get mugged off anymore because you don't, you know, you see with big teams like your Man United, your Chelsea's, your Chelsea fans, right? Arsenal fans as well. They don't settle for second place. They don't settle for things that are rough. They don't settle for that sort of thing, right? They say, sorry, right? We want to be up there at the top. We pay good money to watch our club, right? So if you want the best, we're gonna push for the best, right? We're gonna make sure we push for the best, right? That's the way you should do it. You know what I mean? So for me, right, that's the way you should do things, you know. And for me, I'll give credit to somebody that I don't really know, Connor. When he said on Sava's show, he said, I went to the protest and big up to him. I would have gone there. I should have gone there. Yeah, even if it was 20 people, right? I should have gone. Yeah, I'm not be shouting loud and starting saying whatever, right? And swearing no. But
Alex,
it would have been a signal, a symbol, right? Saying sorry, right? Because you gave me the worst season last season, right? I ever been, and I was so fed up, right, that I was done. Yeah. Yes, we won the Europa League, but it was so bad, right? You're seeing what the result of what Mr. Box Office is right now. Yeah. That I'm so bothered, more bothered about going to the carnival this weekend than actually watching Man City. You know what I mean?
Alex.
Yeah. And
Alex,
that's all I've got to say. Back to you, Dan. I'm done. If you don't know, get to know.
Alex, I disagree with you. I disagree with you a bit here, right? I've done enough protests and I've helped them out in the past to know for a protest to work, you need to keep your base on board. You need to keep the people that you need. You need to take the people with you. You've got to read the room. And, you know, you say good on them. They've got to keep their foot on the throats of the board. So why didn't you turn up then? Why weren't you there?
That's why I said I hold my hands up.
Yeah, but you see,
I meant to be there.
But that's the
I
point.
meant to be there.
But I guarantee you, Alex. But I guarantee you, if you felt strongly enough, you would have been there. Like I never went because I felt, you know what? I can't protest on this. I can't. It didn't quite make sense to me, right? I support them doing it. And I backed them doing it, but to me, it didn't make sense on this occasion. And you've kind of your actions on the day of not going kind of confirms what I've just said. I think, look, your opinion's your opinion. You're allowed it. I just disagree with it. I think what they should have done is this. They should have said, we agree there's unrest amongst the fan base. And we understand we've left our business late. These are the concerns and the worries we've seen in the past. However, whilst the window's open, we are going to give the board a chance to get top players to the club and show us they mean business. If this is not done by the end of the window, then we must take action. It's unacceptable to give Frank a lack of tools going into a season where we're back in the Champions League. And they should have set it up to like a warning shot. Board, we are going to take action, fix up. By doing that protest, what they did was they allowed people that do defend Levy and that are against the protest to jump on them. Look at you mugs, you dickheads. Ha, ha, ha. What's happened to your cause? And this is what happened to us. I remember, this is what happened to me and Brian Daigle. There was times where we got it wrong and we got absolutely bashed. And I think they didn't read the room on this one. But now, Alex, if they do it, they'll get huge numbers. They'll get massive numbers. I don't doubt it. So, but I agree with what you're saying to some degree because it's your opinion and you're allowed it. But I think change for Tottenham, they've just got to be careful with how they do these things because protesting is a very fickle thing. Fans swing Levy in, Levy out, Levy in. Very few like us where we just get them out. Get them out of this club. Why are we doing this? Very few are hardcore, enough's enough. A lot of people talk a good game, but very few mean it. That's what I've realised with the protests at Spurs.
Right, what I've just done, seeing as Brian seems to have a bit to say about the protests, I've sent the link out for you. No one else, just you, mate. Come on here, 15 minutes, give your point. Yeah, well, do you know what? You were there. It'd be good to hear it from another side as well. I mean, yeah, I think you've both got solid points on it. I think you've both got fair points in it and opinions on it as well. And right, go on then, Ryan. Gonna have you on here 15 minutes, but need to keep it with the rest. You at the protest? Go for gold, mate. What have you got to say about it?
So I've been to every single one. I don't go and I don't like the shouty thing. I'm season to go, all right. So I don't like the shouty thing. I go there to lend my support. I have a very particular view, and Alex has articulated it quite well, really well. My view is I'm not Levy out, Levy in. I see the goal, but that's not what I want. What I want is for us to be more effective in the transfer market. That's for us to behave properly, because we behave in the same consistent way for the last 25 years, all the way back to Sol Campbell. You can go all the way back to him. We behave they behave in exactly the same way, right? It's exactly the same, and they keep on doing it, and we keep on seeing these kind of same results. The reason why I went to the protest is because I wanted to stop it happening, right? I could see, when the whole Morgan Gibbs White stuff started, and people were going, "Oh, it will happen," and I'm just like, no. They need to give him a deadline. They need to set a timetable, and they need to finish it. And it was the same with Eze, right? Letting it drag out, and I can see it happening. So I went to the protest because I want things to change. I want us to behave differently so that we have a different outcome. It was really disappointing when I turned up and there was only like 15 people there. I had a good chat with Connor and his dad at the protest, Alex. We were having a really good natter, and I had a chat with a few other people. I think the protests themselves, forgive me, Stel, I totally get what you're saying about how to make them effective. But I think the protests themselves are damaged by people who say that the goal is to get Levy out. Because the reality is, we don't have control over that at all, in any way, shape or form. There's no democratic process that ends up with our board leaving. It isn't going to happen. But, and just hear me out, this is my final thing.
No, go for it, mate. You're here to say what you want. Say what you want, mate. That's what this place is about.
There is a protesting at the weekend. Say there was 5,000 of us protesting at the weekend. We want change. We want you to do better in the transfer market. There is no way that would have made the board behave worse in the way that they were trying to get Eze. There is every likelihood it would have made them act better. And that is my point. My point is we protest to prevent. Prevention is better than cure, right? I understand the patient is on the slab, and we think that, you know, the only way for the patient to be revived is for major surgery. But actually, maybe going forwards, we don't need the patient to get back on the. Maybe we need prevention. We need them to not get us into this situation. We need them to behave differently. That's where I am. I get the Levy outers. They think that the only way that this will change is if Levy goes. It's hard to disagree with them, but I just want them to behave differently in the transfer market.
You know what? With what you've gone and said there, yeah, I ain't going to agree with everything, but do you know what? Honestly, mate, I think you've made some fair points there. And like I say, people will look on a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. That's just life, if you want to put it like that, yeah? And we're all entitled to that. But I think you've actually made some fair points, if I'm going to be honest, mate. I can't say I agree with everything you said, but I do actually think you've made some fair points. I mean, Dave, Stel, whoever, with what Ryan said there.
Nothing will change whilst Daniel Levy is the chairman. Nothing will ever change. I haven't changed my stance on that in 6 years, and I'm not going to change. I appreciate and respect Ryan's view on it. He just wants the transfers to change. So do I. It's not going to happen. We have a chairman that doesn't care. He says one thing to finesse us and to seduce us. His actions speak louder than his words, and he's been like this since day one. 25 years he's had to put in the right systems, processes, and procedures to have good transfer windows. He's still not delivered it. How much more time do we want to give him? And I disagree with you, Ryan, where you say we can't get him out. There's no democratic process. We're the customer. No customer, no football club. If the customer's united in huge boycotts, we destabilize the running of the club. And what will happen is this: Nike, the NFL, corporate box holders, stakeholders will be on the phone saying, Daniel, we don't want to associate with this. We don't want this look. This isn't good for our brand. This isn't good for our customers that we bring to the corporate boxes to have an experience whilst we do business. This isn't a good look. And eventually, something has to give. Man United fans forced the Glazers to sell up, part of the business. Newcastle fans forced Ashley out. Tottenham fans forced out Sir Alan Sugar, Irving Scholar. We've done it before. But unfortunately, what I think what's happened to us now as Spurs fans is we've got comfortable with what we've got. We're happy being that club that challenges for top six. We've got a nice stadium. Isn't it nice going to Tottenham and the beer pools from underneath the pint? It's quite warm and modern in the stadium. And, we nearly got to that final. And, but we've won the Europa Cup. So, that's us for the next 15 years. We can absolutely force change. But the problem is most fans don't want to do it. Most fans don't want to do it. And I think it's because we are comfortable. We're comfortable with what we've got.
So I think you're absolutely right. There's 5%, and then there's 90% in the middle, right? Who just want to get on with their day. Yeah. I've got two words for you: Bud Light. So right, I know it's not football, but there is a very good example of what you're saying, right? A customer base went, we do not like what you are doing. We are going to protest at what you are doing, and it elicited a democratic change in how that company ran its business. So, do you get where I'm coming from? I absolutely see what you're saying. Yes, yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So, I think the one. Forgive me, Stel. Right, I have an opinion. I've watched you for a long time, mate.
Say it as you want. I'm cool.
Ryan, this is what I like. Ryan, 1 second, mate. This is what I like to make my channel about. Yeah, you got nothing to say sorry for because your opinion. Your opinion's opinion, and you're fucking entitled to it. Yeah, whether people agree with it, I don't really care. That's the whole point of having an opinion and chat about football. So say what you want.
Forgive me, right? Well, look, there I go again, right? It's just the way I am. I'm going to say it as it is, but I'm going to preface it with a look. This isn't personal. That's just the way I am.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
I think you apply far too much to Levy. I think the way you come across is that you insinuate that there's some sort of malice. And I don't think there's any malice in Levy. I think it's just the way he is. And I think he is incompetent in the way that he does his business in this. And he cannot see, he doesn't do what I'm a project manager, right? And one of the things that I always insist we do at the end is a lessons learned. Yeah. And people never want to do it because people just want to get on to the next one. But we always do a lessons learned. Why? So that we cannot repeat any mistakes that we made. And unfortunately, we have a chairman who doesn't do lessons learned. He learned no lessons from Morgan Gibbs-White coming into Eze. He learned no lessons coming into Eze. And to say to Eze and to say to Parish, you've got a deadline, you've got a timetable. If you're not going to sign on the dotted line within 2 days, then we're going to walk and we're going to go to our next. That's exactly what he should have done with Morgan Gibbs-White. What he should have done with Eze. What he should have done with Sol Campbell. And you're right, in 25 years, it's exactly the same behaviour. Exactly the same. Dither, delay, and carry on. So I don't disagree with you, but I don't think it's malice. I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I just think it's like it's a scorpion, right? And you get on you put a scorpion on your leg and it will sting you. Not because of malice, but because of what it is.
Hang on a sec, Stel. Let Dave go with this one. He's just said he's got to go in 2 minutes. So Dave, go on, give your opinion quick before you go, mate. Sorry, Stel. Just he's got to go in a minute.
Yeah, no, I've got to go. I kind of agree with that last point there. Actually, it's I don't think he's doing it to harm the club purposely. I just think he's incompetent in the football side of how he runs the club. But obviously, he's had so long now that there's going to be no change in his way, in his approach. So something needs to change. And I think with the protest, again, it's not going to work if it's fragmented with the protest. It needs to be a collaborative effort from I know you're not going to get the entire fan base, but a very good portion of the fan base. And until that comes together and stops being fragmented, then it's going to be hard to force change. We see it with other clubs, and that's because they had enough and they all came together in their numbers and there was a combined effort. And it's quite a visual effort. I think a lot of our protest isn't visual enough. It's outside the stadium. It needs to be picked up by the TV broadcasters. It needs to be picked up during game. It needs to be picked up during a Beyonce concert. But I kind of agree with both sides of this argument. But yeah, no, it's been great chatting. I will jump back on if you're still going in about half an hour. I've got to jump on for a meeting. But lovely chatting to you guys as always, and big up to the chatters.
All right, mate, take care of yourself. I mean, I did say I'd only do an hour, but I make that mistake every fucking time I say it, and it goes on longer, and I've already had permission to go on longer, so I'll go on as long as it takes. Take care of yourself, mate. Do you know what? I think the thing is, I mean, I'll come to you straight away still after. I mean, I think the question that I want to ask with do you know what? Go on, Stel. Answer what you was going to say to him, and then I'm going to ask an overall question, which I think which is a good question. Go on, Stel. Go for what you were going to say.
Right. One of the protesters, I hate Marmite, is in the chat. He beat me to it. If there was no malice, you don't sack Mourinho 5 days before a cup final when you're playing Pep Guardiola, right? If you really want to win that final, you keep Jose in the job, not a 29-year-old Ryan Mason who didn't even have his UEFA license at the time. I was more qualified as a coach than Ryan Mason. That was malice. And we know it's malice because when he was asked a couple of years ago, what's your top 3 greatest achievements as chairman, he didn't even put the Carabao Cup in there. So that says to me, you don't care about trophies. 1, because you've admitted it's not in your top 3 best achievements. And 2, you sat the one manager that can beat Pep in a final. So I disagree with that. So I disagree with you, Ryan. But let's pretend I do agree with you. And that it's not malice, it's just all incompetence. Let's say I'll go with it. If Daniel Levy's incompetent, is that not, do you agree that's just further evidence as to why we've got to get him out? Because we've got an incompetent man running the club.
Yeah, No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, mate. I don't disagree. I don't agree. By the way, it's rain as low as like
sorry.
like
Sorry, mate.
the wet stuff that comes from the sky. That's all right. I don't disagree with it, right? But the problem, I went to the protest at the weekend, right? My short-term goal was that we do things different in the transfer market to avoid stuff like what's just happened with Eze, right? That's my short-term goal. I don't disagree that a medium to long-term goal is that fundamentally our club needs somebody who's far more competent in the way that
football. Football, not just business, football. Because Brian, just sorry to interrupt you. On the business side, I do always say, as a businessman and what he's managed to do with the club, considering we've won fuck all and everything else, I'd have liked to see many others try and pull that off. But that's just where I try to look at both sides. And people seem to think I'm Levy out. No, I support Spurs. I want the football side. But the business side does come into the football. So I'll give him that little bit of credit where due. But this is just, I think, the final icing on the cake for a lot of people. But for me, I'm still Levy out on the football side all the way and have been. I just do try and look at both sides of the story. That's all.
And
sorry, mate. Go on with what you're saying.
I want to ask Rain one question, okay? Right. By the way, Dan, what's the point of having a good business if it's not affecting good football on the pitch, right?
No, I agree. I do agree with that.
I want to ask Rain a question. Like, Rain, you come across to me like you're one of those what they call the moderates. You're not Levy in, you're not Levy out. You're in that middle space. You just want it to change, right? I think most fans, the vast majority are like you. They're in the middle. What's your breaking point as a fan? Because this is the one thing I want to understand from your section of the fan base. What's your breaking point where you say, "That's it, I'm done. I want him out. He's got to go." What? Because I broke 6 years ago when we sacked Poch. That was my breaking point. What's your breaking point? Because I think you're going to represent the majority of fans in terms of breaking point. What would it take for you to say, "That's it, man, get him out"?
I wouldn't say I'm a moderate. I used to watch Tottenham away. I used to.
Why'd you stop watching? I'm joking.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't say I'm a moderate. I'm probably in that 5 to 10% that's sort of underneath the staunch Levy outers, right?
Yeah.
I've worked in FTSE 100s all my career. I know how business operations work, right? And I've worked in the corporate functions. Yeah, so I've generally sat 10 meters away from the CEO and 20 meters away from the chairman, right? And I know that fundamentally, like Dan said, there's a difference between the chairman and the CEO. And a lot of people don't understand because they've just never been in that environment. Yeah, they've worked hard all their lives. They've done what they need to do, but they've never been in that environment. There's a fundamental difference between a chairman who looks after 20-year terms, looks after like Levy's done with the whole of the property side of Tottenham Hotspur, building up his asset base, increasing the value of the business. Was it 12 times? Since
Rain. Sorry to interrupt you. What's your breaking point? Wait a
minute. But he's an absolutely terrible CEO. My breaking point when I was like, Levy does not know what he's doing, was probably Harry Redknapp, and when he asked with Hazard, with all of the stuff that went on with Harry Redknapp. But you
said you're not Levy out, Rain. You said that you just want things to change in the transfer window. So my question is, what's your breaking point to want the chairman and the owners gone? That's what I'm asking.
Short term, what I want is just for us to behave differently in the transfer market. Medium to long term, we absolutely need Daniel Levy absolutely nowhere near the football operations. We
All right,
absolutely.
fair enough. Fair enough.
So when he went on the overlap, and he said, I don't get involved with football. I don't get involved with football operations except to do the negotiations. I was like, well, then you are intimately
exactly.
involved,
Yeah.
right?
Fair point. Fair point.
So,
Right.
So in corporate finance, we have something called financial authority, right? So when I, with my team, I can authorize expenses up to whatever, right? I can authorize expenses up to say 50k, yeah, and I can authorize contracts up to 500k, right? And that I have that financial authority. I can sign that, and the company will pay it. Why is it that at Spurs, the financial authority ends with a chairman in a £4 billion business? It's bonkers. It's rubbish. The people who should have financial authority for transfer dealings is either the CEO or the person who's in charge of the transfer team. They should have a budget.
The football director.
Exactly. They should have a budget that's overseen by the board, and then they should manage it, and they should manage it in the right way. And do you know what else a corporate? A corporate? And actually, this is what I was talking with Connor about at the weekend, because obviously Connor's in this environment. What big businesses do? We're a £4 billion business, right? They rotate their exec team regularly. They rotate them. Why do they rotate them? Because if you don't rotate them, you get stale ideas, right? You get stale ideas. You get a stale approach. Nothing changes. And also, all of the people they're dealing with end up with personal issues, and you end up with all of the cogs in the machine of the business getting stuck. That's exactly where we are. Exactly where we are.
Do you think Levy's a control freak then?
Yeah, 100%.
Just a little bit.
100%. 100%. Not only, in fact, last night I was on Irish Hotspur fan show, and everyone's talking about money. I'm like, shut up! It's not about money. These people have so much money they don't care. 60 million to us may seem like, it is a big thing. To them, it's not. It's not about money. It's about ego. It's about how they feel about themselves.
All right, Rain, I'll come in there with you on this one, yeah. And do you know what? I think you've made a fair point there. I think the ego thing is a massive part of this as well, yeah. But the thing I don't get on the ego thing, if Levy's got this big I'm never wrong ego and everything else and that, like people say, which I do believe he does have, yeah, which I think every big businessman does have and want. But if he's got such a big fucking ego and wants to win everything, no matter how way he does it, and it's got to be his way or the higher way, and it's got to be this way or that way, the way he's been mugged off time and time and time again because he can't seem to do his fucking job properly when it comes to it, where does the ego come into this? Shouldn't he then be thinking, right, I want to do this. I've been looked like a fucking idiot about 5 times now, at least 2 times in the past 5 weeks. And I could say 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, whatever. But 2 times in the past 5 weeks, maybe I need to pull my finger out and get my act together and change it a bit. So on the ego side, I do agree with you. But then on the ego side, I also think, well, he doesn't seem to have a very high ego then if he's not so interested in winning the war, winning the fight for the player. Not just on the football side on the pitch, but if his ego is that big and he wants to win everything, he wants it done his way, he wants it done my way, well, then he must have a bit of a damaged bloody ego then, innit? All right, Ben, how you doing, mate, on everything we're saying now?
Oh, mate, first off, everyone in the panel, how's everyone coping? Are we all good? Yeah,
same,
you all look
Spurs,
super
different
happy.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't expect anything different.
Ben, bro, I'm fine, bro. I'm going to Carnival weekend, bro. I'm all good. I've got soca music to look forward to, bro. Like, big up to you, bro. You know what I mean?
Box,
big up to
brother,
Matt as well.
I don't even know where to begin. Where shall we start? All right, I'll tell you what. I've got a good start.
What we were just saying. Go for it.
What we were just saying.
Yeah, go for it. Say what you got to say, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Say what you got to say.
I just want to start here. the level of flip-flopping I have seen from this fan base over the last 24 to 48 hours is absolutely criminal when it comes to making excuses for Daniel Levy. If you look at the meat and bones of this deal for Eze, for instance, you can't tell me you didn't see this coming a mile off. Now, I got laughed out of the room the other day for saying that Daniel Levy low balls. Laughed out the room. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never kicked a ball in your life. You've got no idea. Let me tell you something. The initial fee, right, for Eze was 68 million. That's what they wanted. Levy slides under the radar with a 55 million pound bid, and we all know why he's done it. You can see on the negotiating table what his thoughts and feelings were. This deal always had Daniel Levy's stench all over it. Okay, no one's gone in for Eze at 68, so maybe the market for him isn't as big as we initially thought. Let's go in there and see what we can do. So he's gone on with an initial 55 million pound bid, and I don't give a shit about the add-ons. The initial bid was 55 million. He's gone in, he's slapped down the table, he's messed around with all the structuring of the deal, which he's clearly gone and done, right? And then people like us would say, well, hold on a minute. Isn't it about slapping the money on the table and getting the player? But no, people then come back at you and say, oh, deals are complicated. Deals are difficult. They take time. You know, they've got to replace the player. Boys, tell me something. And this is a big one here. Arsenal have gone in within the last 24 hours. Bang. I don't hear any noise about they have to replace the player first before it's a here we go. That's real fucking funny, because as soon as Arsenal jump in there, bang, the deal's done. I cannot believe the amount of stick someone like Lubo gets. Yeah, he might be a bit short-sighted when it comes to the things Levy can do for the club, or has done for the club, but he was right. At the end of the day, the problem we have here is Daniel Levy. Look at all these teams around us, boys. Arsenal, before this Eze deal, 223 million spent. Brilliant. Brought in some real talent. Sunderland. I'm going to repeat this again.
Sunderland.
160 million, fellas. What have we spent? 60, 70 overall? Something like that.
Don't even think it's that, mate. It's about 55, something we've spent altogether.
We've just come off the back of winning the Europa League trophy. We've got into Champions League. This is reminiscent of the Champions League final that we got into. Okay, we've done this. Let's push on. We got a scapegoat out of an essentially disgraceful season, and this was our chance to push on. You know, and then you've got Daniel Levy lowballing Crystal Palace with stupid structures, small amounts of money to go and get a player like Eze. What are we doing here? You know, and like I said with Lubo, he was right. There's a million and one things that you can say about this, but really and truly, are any of you surprised? Just one of you would be great.
I think Lubo was always right, but the thing is, though, I think the thing with Lubo is that he's going to stick to what he feels at the end of the day, because he can't stand Levy. He's passionate about the club. I think for us lot at the moment, I think we knew there was a problem. I knew there was a problem when it was 60 million on the table. Right? I didn't think it was right. I thought Crystal Palace were looking like mugs, to be honest with you. And when I said my video yesterday, so I'm being myself and saying it was off. I sat there and thought, there's no reason. There is every reason for Crystal Palace to just keep it waiting. There was every reason, because they're sitting there saying,
True.
We can't let Eze go for that much money. Do our manager, who looks like he wants to go out the door now because he's won 2 trophies the last couple of months. We're treating him like he's like some average manager, right? Who, let's be honest here, he will be gone this season, because if you don't get the signings you want, he'll be gone, because other big teams are going to be looking at him, right? I'm getting rid of my best player, right, for 60 million, lower than bloody Semenyo, who's no better than Eze all day, every single day, right? You're talking about a player that is
Eze is better.
Eze is better. Yeah, Eze is better. That's what the point I'm making. So he was always going to wait for a better deal. And Arsenal were always on the table. I wouldn't be surprised, because they were saying about the agents playing up a little bit, yeah? The agents that most of our players are part of the agency with, by the way, part of the agency with. We've got good terms with them. Oh, well, that's really good terms at the moment, yeah? Right? Basically, the agents thought, you know what?
Alex is right.
We could get a good deal here. We could get a good deal here. Arsenal were interested a couple of months ago. Yeah, let's wait. Let's just wait. Yeah, let's just keep them waiting. Yeah, because they're taking the piss out of us anyway, so it don't matter, yeah? Oh, ever so happens. Oh, injury to Kai Havertz all of a sudden, yeah? Right? Boom. Here you go. Berta, proper director of football, boom, on the table. Here you go. Yeah, and then what happens is Mr. Box Office starts singing this: "Back to life, back to reality," like every single time. Ben, run with it, bruv. There you go. Say how it is.
Amen, mate. All I can tell you is this: yeah, go and check.
Fair said, Alex. Well said, mate.
Go check my Twitter before this happened. As soon as I saw that Kai Havertz injury, I said, deal's not over the line yet. Kai Havertz is injured. Little bit nervous. Now, if a moron like me can see that, are you telling me the people in charge of our club can't foresee these possibilities, you know, creeping up on a deal like what we put down for Eze? I can't comprehend the level of incompetency you get from people like Daniel Levy. The man is an absolute joke. And you know what? I've said in the past, these protests are a waste of time. I'm actually starting to change my opinion on this. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought to myself, Daniel Levy, look, there's too much money involved. A few people shouting isn't going to make a difference. The way you hurt Levy is financially. But you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there needs to be voices outside that stadium, because as it stands, this is a fucking disgrace. And it's gone too far now. This was your chance, Mr. Levy. This.
With the protest part, hang on a sec, Rain. Hang on, yeah. On the protest point here, yeah. Like I say, I agree with the protests, but I just think they need to be there for the right reasons. Now, this is what I'm going to ask about the protests. I mean, I have to write my things down as people say things, otherwise I'll bloody forget it. So what I'm going to ask everyone on here and everyone on the chat, what should these protests actually be about? What should these protests actually be there for? Now, I'm going to add a bit more, I don't like the fucking word, but context to it. I'm going to try, yeah? What are they actually about? What should these protests be about? Because I think one of the problems we do have is basically, I look on this in a very political way. Now, people are going to say, how is it fucking political? Well, political in life is you're either far left or far right. Political when it comes to this Levy thing, you're either Levy out, I hope he gets on the wrong bus and something happens, or you're either Levy in, he's done the world for the club, whatever else, and this and that. Then there's a lot of people who sit in the middle. And then there's, I'd say I'd put myself on the one who's like, Levy out, you know, break a leg, mate. Hope you do two of them. But, you know, life's a bitch. You never know what's around the corner. And I'm more Levy out, but I do see the other side. And then I think there's another side where it is, they're Levy in, but they just want to see improvement at the club, but they're not far Levy in as such. And I think this is one thing that the protests need to make their mind up on what it's about. Why do you have to be far left or far right? Why does it have to got to be far Levy out or far Levy in? Some people, I think, need to understand that there is usually more than two sides to a story, and then sometimes 4 or 5 to a story. I mean, if you argue with a woman, you'd always know there's 10 sides to a bloody story. And I think these protests need to work out what they are actually there for. Are they there for Levy out, Enoch out, because they want to improve Spurs? Or a lot of it comes across, which I think stops the people on the other side who are a bit on the fence coming into it. Or are these protests plainly because I hate fucking Daniel Levy and I hope something bad happens to him? And I think personally, this is where the protests need to work out. What are they actually about? If you're just seeing on one side, if you're just about on the other side, just a bit, so okay, no, I'm willing to give it. I just want him to change as such, not necessarily out. But as all you're seeing on the other side is I hate, I despise, I this, I that. It's just going to look like a very sort of, you're going to turn your blind eye to it. Like of other things of what happened in life, I'm not going to go into it. But when you keep having something pumped down your fucking throat, hate, this, you end up turning a blind eye to it. So I think the protests and the protesters need to actually show what this is about. And it isn't just, I hate Levy and want him out. It's, I want Enoch out which classes as Levy for me, so the club can improve. I don't think the protests actually give enough detail as such on what it's about. What do you think on that? I mean, come on, Stel, I'll go with you first.
Enoch is Levy. He owns a percentage of Enoch.
That's what I just said. Enoch, Levy, same thing.
Levy out means Enoch out. Enoch out means Levy out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for every protester.
No, of course you can't.
I want them gone. I hate what Enoch have done to Tottenham Hotspur. I despise what Daniel Levy's done to the football team. I don't want them here. I haven't liked them. When they first came, they built up the club. They stabilised us financially. We've got a new stadium. We were doing well under Redknapp. We were doing well under Poch. But it got to a point where we want to see them now really back a manager and give us the best chance of doing greatness. And they've never done it. They bring in Mourinho, an elite manager. They sack him before a cup final. That should be a dismissible offence for the board. The whole board should have stepped down. They put in Ryan fucking Mason. You're taking the piss out of us, man. Then they bring in Conte, an elite manager, a proven manager, a relevant manager. And they give him Dan Juma and Rodon. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Then they bring in Ange. He wins a trophy. He did what he said he was going to do, and they sack him. Fine, all right. So you want to win a trophy and be better in the league. Then that means you need to back a manager with quality players because the competition's Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. You bring in Frank and you sign Ben Davies and Matthias Tell. Look, protesters can protest for whatever they want. I haven't changed my reason for protesting. I want Enoch gone. I want Levy gone. Nothing changes whilst they're here. They're not going to change their ways in the transfer window. They're not going to change their treatment of the fans. They're not going to change the way the football operation runs. They're always going to lowball. The wage bill will always be less competitive than the rivals we're trying to catch. We will never compete at the level that we want with these owners in charge. They don't like us. If they could get rid of us and replace us with 62,000 tourists, they'd do it tomorrow because the tourists pay more money. They don't give a shit about us. They've never cared about us. They despise us. Everything they say is to spin, PR, and finesse, and fans lap it up. Dan, I speak for me. I want them gone. I want them out. We might get worse owners. It's a risk. We might get better owners. I don't want this anymore. That's where I'm at.
It's what. Okay, see where you're going. Matt, you haven't said enough bits. So with what I said, basically, do you think the protests need to actually make themselves known what they are about? That it's not just pure hate as such, that there's an actual solid reason behind it. Enoch out for me comes for Levy out. I agree with Stel, yeah. It's all one big thing. But then do you think the protests need to put themselves across more of what it is actually about? Not that I just hate Daniel Levy and want him out. Like you do see off a lot of things on there that and give the solid reasons for it, but then also be a bit understanding to the other side to try and bring them over. Because if you're just seeing like just shouting out, I hate, which Stel hasn't said there, he has said what he wants for the best of the club. Whereas a lot of people I see, I hate as such. I don't think that helps in the process either. So do you see where I'm coming from? What I'm trying to ask here. Maybe I ain't put it across the best way, but
no. I get the question. I think that the first challenge is, Dan, that it's emotive. Football's emotive. It's tribal. You know, so as much as we want to be articulate and we want to be reasonable and we want to put our balanced points across, when we see the team that we love lose a football match, when we see us losing out on players transfer window after transfer window, and we see our rivals gazumping us, hijacking us, or whatever else, when we see clubs like Nottingham Forest, when we see clubs like Aston Villa, who, by the way, were in the Championship, when you see clubs like Sunderland, when you see clubs like Fulham, when you see these clubs having consistent transfer windows and improving, I think it becomes very difficult for the whole protest to be articulate in what they want. I think the words, the proof's in the pudding, change for Tottenham. Personally, I think it's naive to think that Levy's going to step away from transfers. He's going to step away from the day-to-day running of any person that thinks that Levy, while he's still employed by Tottenham, is going to turn the blind eye to transactions or salaries or whatever, is for the birds. He micromanaged everything at the football club. So the only way that change is going to happen is if he's removed. It's the only way. While he's a caretaker, where he's the car park attendant, he will still have his thumbprints, his fingernails all over what happens at Tottenham. So I've watched this movie for 25 years. I don't want to watch it anymore. I just don't want to watch it anymore. So I would rather take my chances with another regime. Aston Villa have changed their ownership model. Other clubs, Sunderland, have had a horrendous period of time. If you watch the Netflix documentary, but look at the owners that have come in now, their first year back in the Premier League, they're showing intent. They might not get every player that they went after, but they're still showing intent. They're not resting on their laurels. Whether you like the Nottingham Forest owner, he's showing passion, he's showing determination, and he's fighting for his club. Tottenham Hotspur is a Ponzi scheme. The football side is a Ponzi. The real interest of Enoch and Levy is real estate and hotels. That is where the buck stops. The football is a side issue. Keep us 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. Just keep us in the news, but don't get ahead of yourself and start looking to win trophies. Because the moment you start asking to win trophies, that means the caliber of player has to be improved on, which means the salaries have to change. That means the actual transfer spend has to change. That's why when Conte asks for £70 million players every transfer window, that's his death certificate. When Jose Mourinho starts asking for Skriniar, that's his death certificate. That's why he looks for managers like Ange, he looks for managers like Frank, and he looks for managers like Poch, because by and large, they will settle for mid-table players who have a resale value and will settle for 60, 70, 80,000 pounds a week. We will continue to be in this position every 18 months. When it gets to February and March and the knockouts of all the major competitions, our squad will get exposed and the fan base will go after the manager. Nobody seems to channel their frustration at the ownership. It's Frank, it's Ange, it'll be Frank, it will be Nuno. There's no coincidence. Nuno's gone to Nottingham Forest and look how he's performed at Nottingham Forest. There's no coincidence. You know, you've got to look at what this club is about. We are not here to win trophies. We're not here to go after the best players. We're here to be 4th, 5th, or 6th and occasionally get into the Champions League. That is the business model. We are Real Estate FC and not a club that wants to win trophies. So for me, Levy, Enoch, the whole regime needs to be removed.
Yeah, I see with that, mate. You couldn't have said it. Couldn't have said it much better. Right, Rain, I'm going to drop you on there from there. I did say 15 minutes, but obviously let you on longer because I think you made some solid, fair points, mate. And cheers for coming on. It is appreciated.
Can I have one last say? Before
as long as it ain't for 15. As long as it ain't for 15 minutes.
Still asked me a really good question, right? Yeah, I'm a moderate, right? So where does my breaking point come to? The problem is with protests. If you make it about the extreme, which is Levy out, then you'll only get that 5%. And I think, Dan, you articulated it so well. What the protests need, right, is, in that little area where people turn up to protest, it's if you want to protest about the transfer, the way that the club operates in the transfer market, come here. If you want to protest about the way that we've treated managers, come here. If you want to protest about our wage to revenue, come here, and you build up a coalition. None of these people need to be at the 5% who want Levy and Enoch out. And I spoke to Lubo at the protest as well, and I just think if you come in it from that angle, you're only going to get those 5%. But if you come at it from my angle, right, which is I just want us to behave better in the transfer market because I just can't see us getting Levy out. I see where Stel's coming from, and you build that coalition of people who all believe that those bits of changes that they want and bundle. I can see Stel shaking his head, but I am right. And you bundle them all into one place, then you get a momentum.
Right.
Hey, we're not a political party. Rain, we're not a political party, right? This is what stinks at Tottenham. We need a committee leader. We need a fire and health and safety officer, a family-friendly zone for the protest. Let's a coalition of the. This is madness. We're football fans. You go to Man United, an army, thousands of them. One message: we want Glazers out. We want Glazers out. We want Glazers. You go to Newcastle. We want Ashley out. Thousands. Do you know why? Because they all agree what the problem is and they go after it. At Tottenham. This lot want the transfer committee to change. This lot want the prices in the club shop to drop. This lot want us to sign Eze. This is why Tottenham can't force change, because we make everything political. You look at the Trust, the most politicised organisation in the club. Everything is politics at Tottenham. We're football fans, Rain. What you're talking like a corporate individual. You're talking like someone that's trying to run a political campaign. Rain, that's not going to work. You can't bring
Hang on, Rain. Hang
parties. 1 minute. You can't bring all the political party. You can't tell the right to behave like left, the left to behave like right, the centre ground to shift to the left, the Greens to be Tories, Labour to be Liberals. Mate, it's not going to happen. You're in fantasy land. It's not going to happen.
No, Stel, hang on, Rain, hang on a sec. I'm going to actually stick up for you here, Rain, yeah? Because Stel, I actually think he's got a solid point. Maybe it is, yeah? Maybe it is. But look at it from a different side, yeah? What he's basically done, and it's what I'm saying on here is basically, anyway, Rain, I'm going to say latest to you, mate. Cheers for coming on.
Much,
but
guys.
I'm going to half
Take
care of yourself. But I'm going to partly get what he's saying. Now, it's like I said, if the protests are just pure Levy hate, Levy out, simple as this, yeah?
Not Levy hate.
Okay.
Just want him out.
No, but there is Levy hate to it as well. I'm not talking about you specifically, but there is people out there who just hate Levy, come love nor money, whatever else. Yeah?
Every protest, though. Every protest.
Yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with that.
Well, I think the point someone has done this to your player.
Well, at the end of the day, for me, hate ain't a word I use, Ben. But hang on a minute with the point. I'm in a minute.
It is in my vocabulary when it comes
to
Daniel.
But hang on a minute, yeah? Now, if you're only giving... You've got to look on this on a political way because you want people to come on your side. And if you want people to come on your side, it is, to an extent, it is fucking political, whether it should be like that or shouldn't. If you want people to come to your protest, whether it's the protests that happen on the political side or protests that happen on the football side, you need to half be political about it to get people onto your side. That's just how it works for me. Whether you want to call it political or not. Hang on. No, you will. But hang on a second still. Hang on. You're never going to please everyone. You're always going to be that one who wants a cup of tea instead of a coffee, whatever else. And that's just life. Deal with it in that aspect, yeah? My point is on the Levy out, if you give more options on why people want Levy out, because some people just don't look at it like that,
and how do we do that?
Maybe, that's where I'm going to go, then maybe you start getting more people be a bit more, yeah, okay, I'm willing to go to the protest, but not because I despise Levy, but because I want us to buy players. I want us to do this. I want us to do that.
That's what
change the protest is about.
That's why they use the word change for Tottenham, because it means everyone's got a different version of change. You might want the shop to change, the transfers to change, the board to change. Mm-hmm. That's why Change for Tottenham set up the name Change for Tottenham. So they've done that, and people are still moaning.
But I still hear a lot more of, when it comes to, I can only go by what I see on here and everything else and that, is by people just slamming it down one side and whatever. I think if they are more open with what they want, if you want A, B, C, D, E, F, G, come over to this side, maybe they're going to pull better.
I don't get this.
I'm not a political person. I'm not a political person in the aspect of making it work. I'm just wondering that if people make it more open what it's all about as such, instead of we want Levy out. I just the protest is open as that.
They talk about change. That's the message. Change. It's not. It's because you talk to me, you might think Levy out. You talk to Brian, who says, and Matt, and there's a few of us that say Levy out, right? But change for Tottenham is to change the club in how you feel it needs to change. It still doesn't get the numbers, right? This political spiel that Rain just, spouted. I'm sorry. You want real change, you've got to take proper action. The only way things change in life is either through diplomacy, which the trust tried that. They tried to be diplomatic, and the board said, shut up. We then had a fan board advisory group, a diplomacy method. They got shut down. The only thing this club reacts to is when it kicks off. And it's sad, but you know what? That's what it takes. That's what the Man United fans did. That's what the Everton fans did. Dan, I wish what you and Rain said had substance and we could do that. I wish this board would sit there and say, you know what? We're going to listen to the fans and we're going to listen to your concerns and we're genuinely going to listen to all the different angles and we're going to respond to you in a way where we're going to deliver. But they don't. They just don't care. They've never cared. They dismissed the emails that the trust sent. Change for Tottenham sent them a really well-structured letter, and then they Change for Tottenham posted the reply from the club. It was the biggest go fuck you response. Dan, the only way things will change is if fans are prepared to stand up and say enough is enough.
Is enough.
I wish what Rangers said was true. You know, we've got to get everyone on board. And look, let the others speak on this. For me, it's wishful thinking, and we've seen that the board don't react to that. We need to be not violent and aggressive and all this stuff that some people suggest that the protests are about. We're nothing like that.
But you need to become a problem still. If you do not become a problem in life or a problem to someone, you're irrelevant at the end of the day. Right. Now, I'm not saying violence and that, but unless we actually become a problem and to get notified and to get noticed these days, it ain't about walking down the fucking road screaming, "We love Kulusevski, get Levy out."
Yeah, but they got noticed. That protest that walked down the street and blocked the West Stand entrance, that got more traction on more social media, more mainstream media, more tabloid, that got more attention than anything we've done before. Now imagine that was 10,000 fans, 20,000 fans, and suddenly we stop a game of football from being played. Like when Man United fans, they stopped the Liverpool-Man United game.
That's where we've got to go.
Yeah, but you need the numbers, Dan. We need to get the numbers. And most fans, unfortunately, are comfortable. I just want a day out. I just want an experience. That's where most fans are at.
I think as all I was trying to question, as all I was trying to question, whereas I do partly agree with what he said on the thing, is open it that much more to try and get more on your side. But then what you've just said and countered it, I can't actually. I'm just agreeing with you still. I can't actually argue it. So that's where I'm willing to hear both sides. You're right there. But until we become a problem of some sort, in one way or another, you don't get heard in this day and age. Until you are, I won't say a threat, but until you are a problem, you don't really get noticed. Dan, and that is one of the biggest things with it.
Dan, if we got 10,000 fans at a protest and the vast majority of those protesters were going into the stadium and we could all agree, right, we've got 10,000 going to a protest. Now we're going to boycott the game or we're going to walk out and there's 10,000 empty seats. You bet alarm bells are going off when the catering manager says, Daniel, we're £500,000 down on the beer sales. Daniel, we've only sold £20,000 worth of pork pies. We're going to have to bin 150 grand's worth of food. Daniel, we've got a problem. There's too many fans that aren't going into their seats. They've congregated in the south stand. It's a bit of a safety hazard. Then you'll see change at this club. Then you'll begin to see change. But
exactly what I'm saying, Stel.
For some reason, fans don't want to do it. They're just
you got, no matter what it is. I mean, on whether you go fucking political or Spurs again, unless you become a problem, unless you become an issue, almost a threat to someone. Now, I don't mean in a violent way, because you can be a threat to someone's business without being violent, by the way, yeah?
Violence ends your campaign. Violence is
exactly.
a criminal act.
So I'm just making it short. Exactly.
Like
so I'm just making it short.
Like people saying self-violence, that's a criminal act.
So when I use the word threat, it's probably the wrong word to use, but I just ain't got the best way with words. But until you get a threat to someone's pocket, until you become a problem. So why is it? So I mean,
Dan,
3,000
people
in
here real quick, mate.
One sec, let me finish my bit and then go for it, Ben. Yeah, 3,000 people at the protest when I came there with you and everything else and all that. Yeah, what we were chanting, I thought, fucking whoever made that up, like, you need to definitely get someone to write you a better bloody song. But then people still went into the stadium for the game time. Even if it was, I say, only very likely 3,000 people and the majority of them went into the match, they should have just said, you know what, bollocks, we ain't going in there for the first 10, 15 minutes or whatever.
I agree.
And made something of it. It's the same ones where I think there's levels of things. It's like when people go on about, don't give them no money, and go on about the money. Don't spend this, don't spend this, don't spend that, but then have a season ticket. I'm like,
but Dan,
you know, but that's only on the money spending bit. That's only on the money spending bit. Not everyone preaches that bit.
Yeah, but this thing about the season ticket, right? If I give up my season ticket, a Levy in fan takes it, the problem's still there because there's 80,000 wait list.
I think you just missed what I just said.
I get what you said about spending in the stadium, but when I'm not going anywhere because he's here. I want him gone. I'm not going. I will be here. I've been a Spurs fan when Levy wasn't here, and if I'm alive, I'll be a Spurs fan when he's gone. Having the season ticket, I'm not going to stop supporting my club because he's here. Don't forget, I protest in that stadium when we need to. If I give up my season ticket, you're giving it to a fan that's not going to protest. They're not going to be chanting Levy out in the stadium. They're going to be a facilitator to the problem. I'm against it. So I get when people say that, but it's almost like, well, if I give up my season ticket, it will only work if everyone else does it as well. And they're not going to do it.
The point, I think I didn't go deep enough on the point I'm making. The point I'm making is basically, totally understand it. Had the debate with Lubo and a couple of others. Well, fair points. I'll stand back to an extent. The point of what I'm more trying to make is that the people who go on about don't give them no money, don't go this, don't do that, don't give them no money, but then have a season ticket and then you go see them downstairs getting pissed up on the bloody beer. I think it contradicts itself on the second part. That's basically the point I'm trying to get at. Maybe I just described it wrong. So my bad.
Fair play.
And it does contradict itself a bit. But Ben, go on, mate. You wanted to say something. Go for it.
Look, all I wanted to say is, I think going off the original question, I think the way you start things in the right way is having a fixed point. You know, Stel just said about, you know, the way other fans will chant specific things to get their point across. I think with Tottenham, it's too up in the air. There's too much this, there's too much that. I think the fixed point for me has to be Daniel Levy. I mean, here is a man who has essentially turned us into a Ferrari bit of bodywork with a Rover Metro engine being the team, right? That's the way I've always looked at it. This man specifically is in charge of transfers. He's in charge of revenues. And can I just say on that point, Daniel Levy has come out of his own mouth in the past. Every penny we get through revenue will go into the team. Well, that's funny. That's cute because I'm not seeing that. I think the biggest problem we've got at the moment with protests is we don't seem to have a fixed point. It seems to be manager, Enoch, Levy. If you're going to point your cries for change anywhere, it genuinely has to start and end right now with Daniel Levy, because realistically he has the most power in that club as it stands. So for me, I would absolutely make a point of getting that man out of this club. Look at all the damage he has done on the footballing side of things. He has really helped the decline of where we are football wise. Don't get me wrong, everything he's done aside from the footballing side of things, amazing. I mean, the way I feel like Daniel looks at this club is like a fucking monopoly board. Do you know what I mean? Like buying up all the hotels, this, that, and the other. I'm pretty sure that's how he thinks about it. But I just feel with all the protests, we need to stick to one issue, and we need to have that fixed point. And as it stands, I just don't think we have that. If everyone can get behind one point, I believe it would go further than what it has done so far. Because I've heard you say in the past, and I'm not sure what people are thinking. Is it getting the manager out? Is it Enoch? Is it Levy? I feel like we need to concentrate on specifically Levy. Now, does anyone disagree with that? Or
I agree.
We don't, but many other fans, Ben, this fan base is very dysfunctional. Do you know what the issue is? You've got some fans that just want a day out. They've got their kids, they've got their family. We just want a day out because we don't get to go out too often. And when we do, we just want to enjoy it with the kids. I get it. You've got other fans, I want trophies. I want us to be competing and winning trophies. You've got other fans that I just want to see good football. If we don't win, we don't win, but I just want to be entertained. I want to see the Tottenham way. Then you need
that getaway from life, don't you, mate? You need that getaway.
Yeah, they need the getaway, but they want to be entertained on the pitch. Then you've got whereas you've got some fans, they're not too bothered if the football's not great, as long as the kids have had a great day out. Then you've got other fans that, look, whatever happens. I don't want to be owned by oil money. I don't want to be owned by nation state. I want a self-sustainable, good, financially prudent business. So you've got all these different priorities. And then you're saying, right, we've all got to come together. How? We all want an outcome. People that say they want trophies, but only if it's good football. Then you've got people that say, yeah, I do want to win trophies, but not if we're owned by Roman Abramovich, I don't. You can't win, Ben. It's impossible to bring everyone together. But the one thing that every fan does get pissed off about is when we either have a bad transfer window or the team underperforms. So then you've got to say, well, why have we had a bad transfer window and why is the team underperforming? And Matt explained earlier on, fans choose to blame the manager. So we change the manager and we change the manager and we change the manager. Where's it got us? Fans know deep down it's the board, it's the chairman, it's Enoch. They know they're the problem. They know they're at fault. They know whilst they're here, we're stuck. But for whatever reason it is, fans are too scared to stand up to it. And I don't know what the fear is. They are petrified of taking action when they all know deep down it's him. What is the fear? I don't know. There is a fear. I mean, you only live once. What are we scared of?
That is where still, that is why I say we are the most divided fan base. And I've had this debate with people on that in football, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's not just one way or the other way. Like the saying I've been using, we're cut up into more apes than a fucking ounce, mate. It's the fact of it is, at the end of the day, we are so divided. I mean, surely, is there another way to open it up a bit so people on the other side understand it more, maybe? I don't know. I'm just touching the straws here.
And they get it. The media pundits say Levy and Enoch. The Sky Sports say Levy and Enoch. The YouTubers all now say Levy and Enoch, except for one or two. The podcast, everyone says it's Levy and Enoch. So the question then is, if we all know they are the problem, we're all saying they are the problem, we all point the finger at the same problem. Why are we not taking action? It has to be fear. There must be a fear of not wanting to stand up to it. And I don't know what that fear is. I don't know, because I don't have that fear. So I can't relate to someone that does have it. You know, we need to find people that have got an issue with, that are disappointed with Levy, who don't take action, and say, why don't you take action then? What's your reason?
Do you know what's really funny? All right, we are going to make a big signing in the next couple of weeks. That I promise you. And fans are going to be happy with whoever comes in. Someone is going to come in that's quite big. I might even go as far to say, with this level of embarrassment, with not one but two transfer signings in this window, which, by the way, doesn't make us look good as a club. What I think maybe the biggest problem is the flip-flopping. One signing is going to come in, everyone's going to go, oh, wow. Well done, Daniel Levy. Good job.
Very true.
All these supporters that are like, yeah, he needs to go. This is a disgrace. Will very quickly flip-flop. I'm not saying anyone on this panel, because I know you lot, you know, you're not of that ilk. But the amount of football fans that support Tottenham Hotspurs will flip-flop as soon as our signing comes in. And it will. Mark my words. It will. Because now he knows, you know, I think it's obvious to see within the fan base, there is absolute uproar and outrage. We've been embarrassed in this transfer window. Make no mistake.
But Ben,
I said, the problem will be flip-flopping.
But Ben, this is just typical Tottenham. That's exactly why. That's exactly why I said what I said. I've been sticking to it. I go on shows and people try and rattle me, say what they say. So I waffle and all this stuff, right? But at the same time, I talk mostly truth than anybody else, even Sava, right? Because I don't sell myself out to anyone. Yeah, I've done this too long. Yeah, I was the same like Stel. Yeah, because I've said it on my channel. I was done after Pochettino leaving. That was when I woke up. All day long, every single day. Because I sat there and thought, wait a minute here. You're getting Mourinho in, the guy that you loathe, right? The worst thing that was ever coming to our club, right? Knowing full well that was never going to work. And I was always right about that, right, man? Yeah? Right? And since then, I've not been the same. I was like every single Spurs fan, cheering, getting annoyed with us, getting annoyed about seeing Man United, seeing Everton and Arsenal and all these people doing better than us. I was the same like every single person, yeah. But then like that was the moment, and I've not changed since. People kept on calling me I'm negative, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. I said, oh, why can you not be positive? Oh, this, that, and the other. Well, look who's right every single time. You know what I mean?
Give me something to be positive about, innit?
But explain their thinking behind bringing those managers in, box office.
Exactly. That's the point.
What does Conte and Mourinho have in common? They are paid to win managers.
Exactly. That's the point. And then when people are saying, oh, well, you don't get it, just back the manager and all that stuff. Well, like, I'm no someone's, pickup. You know what I mean? Sorry if that's a wrong term, but you know what I mean? I'm just someone that says it how it is. And, I was born and someone told me, how to think and be who I need to be. And that's how I am going to stay. And that's how it is. But unfortunately, certain people in the Spurs fan base want to be this political thing, right? And do this whole thing. And I saw it. And I'm seeing it right now. It's getting worse. Yeah? To be fair, we won the trophy and stuff. But it's like, why am I still not feeling like I'm still like, yeah, I should be still happy as a Spurs fan at the moment? Why am I not feeling like that? Yeah? I can try and be the false narrative and say, yeah, I should be happy. But I just still don't feel like, yeah, you've got me. You've got me really like excited right now. You know what I mean? I'm just
because
going
know that Europa League win was a fucking fluke.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point. And that's the thing. It's like, and this is where I struggle with Tottenham at the moment. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I could either be like some of these YouTubers, look at what some players and look at the future and say, oh, I want this player, I want this player, I want this player, I want this player. But then I can get a situation like Grealish back in the day. Not now, back in the day. When that was offered on the table to us, we didn't get him. Fernandes, when it was on the table, we didn't get him. You know what I mean?
Diaz.
You know what I mean? I can have so many opportunities and stuff like, yeah? Right? I've had disappointment after disappointment as a child. And then people tell me, oh, well, why are you being like this for? You must be miserable and all that stuff. Well, look who's right every single time. Mr. Box Office, the main event. You know what I mean? And listen, I don't mind people not agreeing with me. Matt doesn't agree with me, but I'll listen to him every single time. You know what I mean? Yeah? Big up to him. You know what I mean? Yeah? You know what I mean? But it's like when I get that sort of stuff, getting all this stuff back at me and stuff and saying all this, well, there was always logic to what I'm saying. You know what I mean? There's always logic, and like I said, your feeling
Alex,
does not change in the heart.
I've
That's
backed
all
you
I'm
up
saying.
enough.
Alex,
I've
don't know, get to know.
I've backed you up enough times, mate. You do actually make some solid points. You just got to learn to get to the point quicker, mate. And that's nothing I ain't said to you or anyone else. And you will get better at it, fella. Pardon me. I think the thing that done a lot of us, I mean, I'm going to cut this in about 15 minutes because I'm already getting looks at the door. And I have to stop making the same mistakes myself of saying I'm only going to do a bloody hour. When it just comes to it, I think the thing that really done a few of us this one is it actually did, just for that moment, look like something might be changing. Because Spurs do not go out and make two back-to-back buys in a matter of 2 days of Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, the Morgan Gibbs-White one didn't go through for the reason it didn't go through. But if that shit wouldn't have happened, it would have all gone through. And we haven't seen that happen at Spurs. Have we seen it ever that we go for £260 million players plus? And I think what that's done, that gave us, some of us, me included, and others included, and others probably saw straight through it. It gave me that bit of hope. Like, do you know what? Maybe we do actually mean business this year. And then all of a sudden, back to square one again. And is anyone really surprised what's happened and where we stand? No, I wasn't surprised what happened with Eze. I thought we would get him, but when it came to the crunch, yeah, pissed off last night, same as most of us. And then you sit there and you just think about it. Are you genuinely surprised? I think at the end of the day, if you are genuinely that surprised that that happened, pardon the phrase, but more mug you. I don't know how else to put it, really. So the last I'll ask on it is, where do you think this is going to go before the end of the window? I ain't even going to ask what you think of the season, because we'll make that judge at the very end of the window. Do you three actually see us getting anything significant? Or is it just going to be a hit and hope sort of thing?
We're going to end up with a Tyler Dibbling, El Canouse type scenario. Maybe not those two, but that kind of caliber. We're not going to sign a superstar football player. We'll sign someone that's good, that will be made out to be better than what he is. But I listen, I don't know a Premier League proven player with experience of Eze's quality that we can genuinely sign. I don't know a player that we can bring of what Eze could have brought to us. I don't know many wingers that have got better stats and technical attributes than what Savinho brings to Spurs. If you look at Savinho's output, other than goals scored, and you compare him to all the other wingers, he's the best. So anything we do from here is a downgrade. Anything we do now will feel underwhelming, and we're just going to end up with what we end up with. And, you know, good luck to Frank. He's going to need it.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, look, old keys don't unlock new doors. So
no, they don't.
Yeah. So Levy and Enoch, they've been here 25 years. But miraculously, the fan bases were saying, YouTubers were saying, it's different this time. It feels different this time. And without stating the obvious, but I think because there was this pent-up vacuum of frustration with Ange, that the moment Ange was sacked, it released this like euphoria in the fan base that whoever came through the door was going to be Jim will fix it. Whoever came through the door was going to put these wrongs right. And they kind of got blindsided that Levy and Enoch were still the puppet master. So it kind of, all of a sudden, the message on YouTube was, this feels better. This feels great. You know, we've got a coach now. This feels different. This feels great. So it kind of peddled this optimism. It peddled this like vacuum of promise, when the people above who pull the levers and press the buttons are still there. So all of a sudden, the message was, don't you dare protest. Don't you dare protest. We've got a new manager now. Don't you dare protest. When the message has always been there. How do you expect anything different when we've still got the puppet masters above? Fast forward towards the end of the transfer window now, we've missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, who I still think was, for me, a ruse. I don't think that bid went in. I don't think it was real. I think it was another Gueye. I think it was just for PR. And I think the Eze was another one. So I personally believe that now reality has bitten for some people, and they've now thought, this is not what I expected. What happened to all the optimism? And what will happen is, as the fixture congestion starts to increase, and he's playing every 3 and 4 days, and that squad gets more and more exposed, what will happen is YouTubers will turn on the players. They'll turn on Tau, they'll turn on Odeberg, they'll turn on Bergvall, they'll turn on Gray, and they will refuse to blame the business model. They'll refuse to blame the owners. They'll turn on Lange, and this will repeat and repeat and repeat. And in the end, Frank will either show his frustration or capitulate and get sacked, and we will go back to Iriola's the guy.
Square one.
Iriola's the guy. Iriola's the guy. Frank had to go. He had to go. And this will continue. This cycle will continue. So in a nutshell, Dan, I think it will be somebody like Jonathan Rowe that's now been kind of training with himself in Marseille. He's 22. He's English. He played for Norwich. We'll get him for buttons. It will be somebody of that ilk that will come through. Set your watch. The price will be under 30 million. And their price wage will be 60 to 70 to 80,000 pounds a week. That is who will come through the door.
Basically, same Spurs, different day.
100%. 100%.
Ben?
Where do I think this is going to go? Honestly, I believe we're going to get 2 players in before the transfer window ends. And the first person I think Daniel Levy is going to turn to, and I want you to just think about this for a minute, is Lucas Paqueta. Why? Because number one, we know he wants out. Number two, we know West Ham want him out. And I think it's an easy deal for Levy to get over the line. And then you'll hear reports, if we do go down that avenue, that he was our number one target, blah, 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 blah. But like I said, I believe we're going to turn towards Paqueta because it's an easy deal to get done. If I think logically on the second one, I feel like Savinho will have to come in now. Not want to, I feel like he has to come in. If you want to save any sort of face, and I do mean any sort of face, I feel like you have to move heaven and earth to go and get a Savinho. We all know Daniel Levy isn't a fan of being embarrassed, so you would naturally assume, or you'd want to hope that he would go in for someone big like Savinho, because I agree with Stel. Personally, I wanted Savinho over Eze all day long because I feel like his ceiling and what he can offer you is just unbelievable. I love Savinho. I think he's a brilliant player. But yeah, I believe it's going to be 2 players before the end of the transfer window. One will be an easy target and the other will be to save face. So let's just see what happens from here. But as it stands, Daniel Levy, mate, you need to buck up your ideas and quick.
Yeah, I can pretty much go with that. So last thing I'd ask before I say goodbye to people. Still, I take it you are on tonight. Please to give people the time and the place to be, even though I think most of us know it. And I must admit, I'm going to have a couple of beers to sit down and watch that tonight.
Yeah, very quickly. I don't think we'll get Paqueta because I don't think West Ham are going to give us another one of their top players after the meltdown they had for the West Ham fans. It'll just be carnage. Okay. And I don't think we'll get Savinho because after the Harry Kane saga and Daniel Levy's calling them out about the 115 charges, I think Man City are just going to take us to task on that one. Bit of retribution. So as much as I'd love Savinho and Paqueta. I think it'd be fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen. Glad to be proven wrong, though. More than glad to be proven wrong, though, because they're both really good players. Yeah, tonight, 8 o'clock, the Spurs 5. There will be some difficult conversations that need to be had on that show tonight. Believe you me, and I'm not going to accept any defense of Daniel Levy tonight. None.
No, I won't deny it.
Tune in.
I won't deny it, people. I would watch that tonight. I'm going to grab a couple of beers, and I must admit, I'm going to go sit in my man cave room, which I am with my TV there. So my wife can actually lay in the bed and watch TV for a change. And I must admit, I'm going to watch that because I feel this one's going to be, let's just say, interesting. And so I just want to say thanks for everyone watching. Thanks for all the guests. And Big D, much appreciated for being the member and your super chats, mate. Really appreciated. James, thank you very much, mate. Appreciated again. Same as Rick Kane. Aussie Frank Lover, much appreciated again, mate. Like I say, I haven't got the best ways to say it. It's appreciated. Thank you very much. People, as all I can say to this at the end of everything is I think we have a new saying for ourselves. And I think this one is just going to stick with us for a very, very, very long time. The same as Spursy. As all I can actually say for it is basically, I don't even want to say it, but it's who we are, mate. Have a good day, people.